Evening. This is a meeting of the Groton Board of Education. It's a regular meeting being held on Monday, November 24th. It is being held by Zoom only. The first order of business is call to order. I think in attendance we have, let me look at the list. I can never get this right with Zoom. Sorry about that. We have Dean Capaz, we have Dr. Adrian Ackerman, Ian Thomas, Jen Knight Whitney, and Sean Corcoran, and myself, Bev Washington. We also have the Assistant Superintendent Anne Marie Mancini, the Superintendent Susan Austin, and the Director of Finance, Rita Siak. All right, the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. And pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next order, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Being on Zoom is kind of funny, so I wasn't sure. The next order is recognition and participation of visitors and delegation. I'd like to recognize Dean Antas. This is the last regular Board of Education meeting. We will have a facility meeting next Monday, which he will chair. But this is his last regular Board of Education meeting. I'm going to remember when I met Dean. I met him, but we met him 4 years ago when we were campaigning and we were up at the school. I knew then just by standing there campaigning with him that he was going to be an excellent board member. I'm going to miss Dean. He always had the best interest of the students and the district at heart. He was always able to and willing to see both sides of the issue. He had no personal agenda. He just wants to do the right thing for the students. And whenever I called him up for advice, Dean was always willing to give me good advice and listen to me. So Miss Dean and all his stories that he tells. And he was a great board member. So thank you, Dean, for your 4 years being on the Board of Education. I really appreciate you, and I'm going to definitely miss you. I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything.
You're too kind, Bev.
No, I mean every word I said. You have you always see sides of the story and the issue, and I really appreciate that. And you're always willing to listen. You're always open-minded. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we have a plaque for you. We'll give it to you at the facilities meeting.
Oh, okay? A plaque. More plaques.
You can add it to your wall.
Yeah.
The next item is comments from citizens in regard to agenda items and other subjects of concern that lie within the jurisdiction of the Board of Education. This is a portion of the agenda where the board welcomes comments from citizens. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Board members will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot comment during comments of citizen portion of the board meeting. Citizens should make their presentation. If you could raise your hand if there's any citizens on the line, and please state your name and address for the record. Vanessa, I see your hand up, Vanessa.
Hi, thank you. My name is Vanessa Gontus. I sent an email to the Board of Ed earlier today. I'm speaking in support of establishing a Backpack Buddies program or similar support system for students experiencing food insecurity. Children deserve access to food without needing transportation and forms. I encourage the Board of Ed to show their support for the implementation of a supplemental food distribution program that includes simple, direct distribution points within the Groton Public Schools. Whether this is a food pantry located in the front office or guidance office or at the security desk that students can access at dismissal, there are many strategies that could be considered to make sure our students have food to eat during the days that school is not in session and they do not have the benefit of free breakfast and lunch provided by the school nutrition program. Thank you so much for your time and attention to this need in our community that was very clearly illustrated during the SNAP delay at the beginning of the month, which created quite a crisis in terms of food and support for hungry children.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board? Okay, I don't see anyone. Monica White?
Yes, hi. My name is Monica White, and I serve as the Director of Family Ministries at Knowing Baptist Church. We are trying to undergird this food distribution program, and I would like to start by expressing gratitude to Ernie and Justine. Both of them have been incredibly receptive to partnering with us to meet the need of food supply for students at the Fitch High School. These weekend bags that we are sending home not only support high school students, but in many cases may also feed their younger siblings. It is my understanding that there have been concerns about the QR code not being an ideal method for the students to enroll in the food distribution program. While I appreciate and respect these concerns, I believe that it is important to recognize that going without food for an entire weekend is far from an ideal situation as well. It is our goal to remove barriers, not create them. And we are committed to working collaboratively with food services to ensure that all students in Fitch High School can access this support with dignity and ease. I humbly ask for your support and partnership in this effort. And I hope that together we can ensure that no student in our community faces hunger over a weekend or a long holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White, for bringing that forward. Next is any other comments from citizens? Okay, I don't see any. Just let me check one more time. Okay, I don't see any. Next is response to citizen comments. Any response? Susan, do you want to say anything about this?
Well, I wrote about it in board notes that it was happening. It happened on Friday. And I know it's happening again this Tuesday. What they do is they distribute it at the Falcon Cafe, and they're going to look into possibilities of putting it in guidance in the future. But because free and reduced lunch information is private, even the administrators don't necessarily know, but our guidance counselors are probably the best to know to be able to help our kids. So that's what we're going to do moving forward. They're going to make an announcement. And I think a parent square is going to go out like it did before. And I had shared that information because Ernie had shared it with me. So I shared it in board notes. And thank you, both Vanessa and Monica, for helping.
Are they able to distribute the bags tomorrow?
I'm sorry, Bev.
Are they able to distribute the bags of food tomorrow?
Yes, I sent the board a note. They'll do it right the same way from Falcon Cafe. They'll let kids know and families know. And they just realized that I think there are 40 or 50 bags, and in our district we have 50% free and reduced lunch. So at Fitch, that could be as many as 550 families. So we're asking kids who might need these provisions to come and get them right after school.
Monica, you have your hand up?
Yes, Miss Bev. I was just going to let you know that we do have 40 long weekend bags prepared for distribution tomorrow. We do not know that we could possibly sustain 500 in the future, but we are willing to give our best effort to ensure as many kids can be fed as possible.
We do appreciate that. And I think the more information we can get from families and possibly through guidance counselors and social workers is the way to go. And I think they're going to still work on this QR code. When they did it, only 3 children signed up, 3 families. So we know it's more than 3.
Well, I'm very thankful. My daughter was able to make an announcement during the second period today in regards to the QR code being on the wall. So thank you guys for that support. It really empowered her as a young person, trying to ensure that her peers are well fed. So thank you for that opportunity. And again, thank you so much for your continued support.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's important work.
I don't know who had their hands up first, Adrian or Ian. So I'll go with Adrian. Or Ian, go ahead, Ian.
Thank you, Bev. I just want to thank everyone for coming out and speaking tonight. That program sounds fantastic. Definitely filling a need that that is very apparent in our community, and especially now in these times with the challenges that we're facing on the federal level. So yeah, thank you all for coming out, and appreciate your comments, and I appreciate the superintendent working with them to make this happen. Thank you.
I can't hear you, Bev, but I'm assuming that you called on me there. I just wanted to voice my support for this program, and anything that we can do to encourage people that can afford to donate to this, and whatever we can do as a district to help out those kids over the long weekends, kids and families of kids. So I just wanted to express support and hope that we can continue supporting in the future.
Ms. White, do you want to say anything else? Oh, no, okay, yeah, you're done. Dr. A? You can't hear me?
You're on mute.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I wanted to express myself, my support as well, and thank everybody who's working on this. And I am unable to read the board notes because I can't see anything.
I'm sorry.
So if you wouldn't let me know how I can support this, where I could send a check or whatever I can do. So if you would let me know, Susan,
I will. I think, Monica, is it the Noank Baptist Church? Which church is it that's doing this so we can give them a thank you too?
Yeah, I heard
Yes,
Noank.
ma'am. It is Noank Baptist Church. We're located in Noank Village.
Yep.
We do not need any credit, but we do need support so that we can make sure that we can continue going forward. So thank you so much for that.
Yep.
Thank you.
We'll get the
Dr.
word
Hayes.
out for sure. Thank you.
Vanessa, you have something else to say? Vanessa?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that our focus is on sustainability. There are a few different ways that we can do that. One is that we can focus our efforts just on long weekends and vacation periods. The other is that we have an Amazon wish list that Monica put together, and we are going to ask for community support in that way as well. We do have a lot of people that want to support that just haven't had the opportunity or the information yet. So I'm hoping in the next few weeks to really build this program to a point where it is sustainable, and there'll be not only resources available day to day, but a specific program to cover holidays and long weekends.
Vanessa, if you get that information, I can actually send it out Parent Square and put it in my weekly update and my board notes so that it can generate and we can get more community buy-in.
Thank you, Monica. Jay?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone who's involved with fulfilling this important need. And if you do have a fundraising effort, if you can share that with Susan with any links where people can make monetary donations, if that's the direction you choose to go, then we can get that publicized as well. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen. Jen?
Thank you. I know that there's a coordinated effort right now, it looks like, with the church and then like with Ernie. But has anyone contacted the United Way? I mean, the Gemma Moran Center is there, and there are mobile food trucks that go out to various communities. And I believe we already have maybe something in the middle school, but
Yeah.
maybe they can help with some food supplies as well.
You're right, Jen. The middle school has had a United Way food pantry. When we asked to do it at Fitch, they didn't have the resources, but I can call them again. And they actually do the book bags for the middle school kids. So they have that program already at the middle school. It would be nice to have it, in all of our schools. So I guess that's another coordination thing to find out if United Way has those resources.
Yes. It'll just help supplement what's already there. And
Right.
there's a whole network, that's been in place for several years, so.
Ms. White?
Thank you for that feedback. I do want to let you know that we have been in contact with Jim Moran a few times, and they are able to provide us with some resources as well. We have also started a relationship with Feed America. I have done Backpack Buddies in a previous state, but Feed America, what they do is they allow us to purchase items at wholesale cost so that it becomes more affordable for us to be able to pack those backpacks. So we are working on building those relationships. And again, we're not trying to replace anything. We love that Jim and Moran comes and distributes at the high school. We're just giving these kids another avenue to receive food. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I
No.
thank you so much for
No.
your support.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't supposed to come out like that. I'm just like offering resources. So, for transparency, I used to sit on the board of the United Way in Hartford, and the backpack program was like in several of like the Hartford public school through United Way and like the 70 plus organizations that is supported. So, um, it's just like we might as well all work together. I'm not as familiar with like the resources that we have here down in southeastern Connecticut as much. But yeah, no, definitely it wasn't supposed to come out as like being replaced. It was just offering um, other venues of how to like get food. With that organization that you had mentioned, I believe they're out of Manchester, I think. And like you said, you have to purchase the food, right? Whereas, sometimes you might be able to get food as donation too. So,
Oh, no, ma'am, you did not offend me, and I apologize if it came across that way. Thank you so much for your feedback.
yeah, no, thank you for what you're doing.
Vanessa? Vanessa, you have your hand
Okay,
up?
yeah, here I am. I have one last thing to say. Sorry.
Okay.
Those programs are all amazing, and I think that the focus of our intention here is to make this as easy for children as possible. They don't need transportation. They don't need to meet a truck. They don't need to figure out how they're going to get their food. Their food is just provided. I feel very strongly that children should not have to worry about where and how to feed themselves. And if we give them the autonomy to get the food for themselves, I do believe that the children who need it will do so, but it needs to be accessible. And I think having a food pantry in the guidance office, my personal opinion is that that would be the best solution so that kids who need help can go in and get it when they need it. Because food insecurity means that some weeks they do and some weeks they don't. So handing a bag of food out every single week when sometimes they don't need it that week is counterproductive. So I'm hoping that long run we can create a more fluid, versatile program that gives the children the opportunity to come when they need it. And if that's every day, that's fine. And if it's just every so often, that's okay too.
Thank you. And I hope everything goes well for you guys tomorrow. So thanks again for everything you're doing. Make sure our students have food and our families. Next item on the agenda is student representative reports. I don't see any of the students. So
No, I think there's a powder puff game tonight for seniors. So I think that's where a lot of them were headed.
okay. Then the next item is review of the math plan, and that's the Anne Marie Mancini. And
Okay,
that's
I'm gonna,
attachment number 1 in the board packet.
I'm assuming that I have to share my screen, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, can everybody see the presentation?
Yep, I can see it.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to get started then. Thank you. All right, so I'm excited to share our math enhancement plan tonight. And this is something that I shared a draft of or a version of this draft last year with the curriculum committee. I believe sometime last spring. And so there's a updated version that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. We start off every presentation, as you know, by connecting our presentations to the strategic plan. And in this case, our presentation or our work with the math enhancement plan aligns with Pillar 1, Accelerate Academic Achievement. And our work around enhancing math instruction and achievement, or our performance, will hopefully yield results specifically in the academic pillar. And we will look to, of course, increase our academic or accountability index, and then also our DPI or district performance index in math. Our agenda for tonight is simple. I'm going to go over a couple of things. The first thing that I'm going to review is our vision. Whoops. Sorry, that's what happens when I'm trying to, is our vision for vision and plan for math enhancement. Second thing I'm going to review is our resources to support enhancement in math. I'm going to finally then review our building thinking classrooms instruction and that approach. And then I'll give you an opportunity to ask me some questions. All right, the first thing that I want to talk about is our vision and our plan for enhancement in math. So when I first started working here last year, I started working with the math team, our elementary specialists, and of course, our teachers at the secondary level. And I specifically started with what is our vision here in Groton Public Schools for math, and what is our approach to math instruction? And I found out, even though we had a district math team, there wasn't like a defined vision for math. And so I worked with the team to first define our vision for math. And the teachers came up with this: Groton Public Schools will ensure equitable access to rigorous math instruction so that students will make sense of math in creative, interactive, and authentic ways. And then we defined our math through 5 specific approaches. We wanted our math approach to be aligned to standards, promote active learning, encourage real-world connections, emphasize conceptual understanding, and then we thought it was also important to build K-12 coherence. So keep that in mind, especially those 5 elements in mind as I talk a little bit about our math enhancement plan. All right. So it was really important for me last year, as I worked with the math team, to think about, if we're going to develop a plan to improve math instruction and performance, to think about a plan for doing that. And so I developed a plan along with the teachers that aligned with our our strategic plan. So you'll see, you might think to yourself while you're looking at this, wow, this is a lot of years, Emery. Well, it's designed specifically to align with the strategic plan in terms of being, it's completed. It started last year in the 2024-25 school year, and it ends in 2030. So that should, that should be familiar to you because the strategic plan ends in 2030 as well. And, there are 6 phases of the plan, and the 6 phases, you know, kind of start off with plan. And then this year we're in our pilot phase. And then, it goes to monitor, refine, improve, and evaluate. And the enhancement plan involves piloting new resources, training our teachers, implementing a new assessment, conducting math walkthroughs, uh, making adjustments to our curricula, and it's captured again under these 6 headlines or 6 headings. And so you can see last year, for example, I talked about how we created a district vision for math. We introduced the building thinking classrooms approach, which I'm going to talk to you about. And we reviewed some new materials, which we're piloting this year. And we also piloted the iReady platform. This year is where we are right now, obviously in the 25-26 school year. And we're doing a lot of new things this year. We implemented officially our iReady assessment, which our teachers are given fall, winter, and spring. We are emphasizing problem solving, and our teachers are being trained in that. We are piloting illustrative math, which I'm going to talk about extensively in the next couple of slides. Our teachers are being trained in the building thinking classrooms approach. And we were collecting, of course, feedback from our teachers on the illustrative math resource, and we're making some adjustments to our curriculum and assessments. Next year, assuming everything goes as planned, we'll be providing implementation training to our staff on illustrative math should we choose to adopt that resource. We'll be monitoring the implementation. We'll continue with our professional development on building thinking classrooms, collecting feedback. The following year, that's really where we'll be in our refinement stage. We'll be continuing to provide support in our iReady platform, continuing to monitor our implementation. But that year, we'll be implementing math walkthroughs. We'll be hosting our math family nights to help our families understand this new resource. And then we'll be finalizing our refined math curriculum, K-8. The one thing that I really want to emphasize is right now, we currently do not have a resource that is in our math program that is extended K-8. We have one resource for K through 5. We have another resource for 6 through 8. So I'm looking to build coherence in that K through 8 program. And I think it's very, very important. Finally, in the 28-29 year, we're looking to, of course, to improve what we're doing by making cross-curricular connections, making instructional decisions based on the resources that we use, identifying teacher leaders to model our instructional approaches, and then continuing our math walkthroughs. And then the last year, evaluating that 29-2030 year as we're getting ready to develop our new strategic plan, establishing model classrooms, ensuring ongoing PD, making instructional adjustments, and then evaluating the overall effectiveness of this math enhancement plan as we get ready to build our new strategic plan. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the resources that we've identified to support our math enhancement plan. The first one is called iReady, and some people probably have heard me talking about iReady, and I like to say that iReady is 2 instructional tools in one. The first part of the tool is it's a diagnostic assessment. Before this, we really didn't have a diagnostic assessment we were using in math. This assessment allows us to determine where students are 3 times a year in math. The students are assessed fall, winter, and spring. It allows us to identify what students can do in terms of their grade level expectations for math. And this has been proven to be a valid and reliable predictor of smarter balanced performance, as I've talked to other districts that are using the iReady diagnostic assessment. It's also a personalized instructional tool, meaning that once it determines where students are in terms of the standards, where they are the standards, it provides teachers with specific lessons that and tools that they can use to help students improve their performance. You can see here, this is a kind of like a screenshot of once teachers log into the platform, it provides them with, where to go to help teachers, like a teacher toolbox, to access specific instructional materials, as well as specific reports that they can access to help students get to that next level of learning. The second resource that I want to kind of go over is this illustrative math. This is a resource that we are piloting, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. It's very important to let you know, again, we are piloting this resource. Now, the illustrative math resource is what we call a problem-based student-centered resource. And it's different from a traditional math. It's different from the traditional kind of math lesson that, maybe we encountered, well, at least I encountered as a young math student, in which I was in a class, the teacher kind of talked and I listened and I was expected to kind of absorb that information. Illustrative math is, really promotes active learning. Oftentimes, again, well, I'm going to kind of skip that and go to the next slide. So in illustrative math, students are expected to be really play an active role, not only individually, but in groups to see what they understand and can figure out on their own. And the teacher is really the facilitator of the learning. And it's kind of like represented here in this diagram or this depiction, where the teacher is kind of helping, the students are working together or sometimes individually, and the teacher is helping the students to kind of synthesize their learning, but they're always active in the learning process. The IM program is built around 3 elements. The first one is the invitation to the mathematics lesson. The second one is the deep study of the concepts and the procedures. And the third one is the application of the learning. This structure allows all learners to be successful and actively engaged in the learning process. And every unit, lesson, and activity ends with a strong synthesis of the strategies and the applications that students have experienced during that lesson. One of the things I really like about illustrative math, and I have used this in my previous district, is that it provides lessons that really embedded in those lessons are access for English learners. And we know here in Groton, we do have a number of English learners, and it also provides teachers with suggestions for students that are accelerated learners as well. You see also that there are access for students with disabilities too. So if you have students that are really high achievers, it provides suggestions for teachers that, okay, here's some extension activities for those students that are really excelling. But for those students that need supports, like those students that with disabilities or students that are English learners, it provides suggestions for students, for those teachers in terms of how to modify the lesson as well. Okay, in this case, I think it's really important to note that the illustrative math was created by William McCallum. He was one of the co-creators, I guess, or the designers of the Common Core, which lets us know that, of course, this curriculum is aligned. One of the reasons why, again, one of the kind of things that reinforces this to us is something called Ed Reports. Ed Reports is an independent review system or a platform that reviews programs that are put out, like curriculum programs or resources that are put out. And this is my go-to anytime I'm looking at a resource. If it does not get the 3 gateway meets expectations, and meets expectations, I don't even consider it. So this is the latest review. You'll see here the report was released in July of 2025. This is the newest edition of Illustrative Math. It's called Illustrative Math 360, and it met expectations in all 3 areas by Ed Reports. I mentioned earlier that if we were to select illustrative math, This would allow us to build important coherence. Now, illustrative math actually extends all the way through from K all the way through grade 11. At this point, we haven't started to look at this for the high school level. We've only started looking K-8, but this will allow us to build cohesion in terms of the students learning specific concepts and skills from grades K all the way through 8. And it's really important because this will allow us to guarantee that our students are coming in with certain concepts and skills. And on the right-hand side, I know this looks like a crazy diagram, but this is called their like their cohesion maps, or what they call their dependency charts. But it allows us to kind of see the progression of learning from one unit to the next, and then from one grade level to the next. When we were looking at the math specialist and I were looking this summer at what units we were going to pilot, this is how we selected the units and how we determined what units we were going to select. So what does a illustrative math unit kind of look like in action? If you engage me for a minute or so, I'd like to show you. Hopefully this will play.
I'm sorry, just a point of privilege here. I guess, are we not getting volume or any audio? I'm not getting any audio.
I can't hear it either.
I can't either, Ian.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can.
Anne Marie, is there volume?
Can you hear Anne Marie? We can't hear the volume.
We have no audio.
Can we start it from the beginning, Anne Marie?
So you guys can't hear that?
No.
Yeah,
no audio.
I wonder why you can't hear it.
In my experience, it's always been sort of a weird interface. If you're sharing this directly from a YouTube video.
Is there a better way to do it?
I don't know is the short answer, but I've run into this roadblock before in other meetings, other places.
Okay. So maybe we will skip the video. Unfortunately, unfortunately it's powerful, but if we are not able to, if you're not able to hear it, then probably it's best for me not to share it.
I'll test it out when I can on our agenda to see if you can go on it and see if it'll work.
Right, and maybe in the minutes we could put a link to it and maybe post it somewhere on the website or something like that.
Okay. Let me go back to the presentation. Stop sharing though. Okay, hold on 1 second. There we go. Okay, can you see the presentation again?
We do not see anything currently.
Okay.
I can't.
Thank you. All right. I gotta. Okay. Thanks. Go back here.
All said, I can see it, Anne Marie.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. Okay. So unfortunately, you weren't able to see that video, but I will make sure that, well, you have access to the presentation. So at any point you can, at your leisure, take a look at that. Let me talk to you a little bit about what a typical lesson structure looks like for illustrative math. So there's an invitation to the learning, which I had mentioned just before. That makes clear to the students what their learning goal is for the day. Then there's a warm-up, which kind of launches the lesson or focuses on number, sense, and fluency. There are instructional activities, usually 1 to 3, depending upon the lesson, which allows them to experience, new context, introduces new concepts and language. or a new representation. It formalizes the definition of a term or helps the students work toward mastery of a new concept or procedure. There's a lesson synthesis, which guides students through their big picture understanding through large group discussion, a response or a prompt, or adding onto a new concept map. Helps students make connections to what they already know or situates their new understanding. And then a cool down task. And basically what those are is like almost like what they call exit tickets. Helps the teacher check for understanding and determines if students understood the lesson and informs instruction for the next day. And from what I understand from our teachers, they really love the cool down tasks. So you're probably wondering, like, how are we collecting feedback? I plan to collect feedback from our teachers. I mean, not only informally, I've been talking to teachers quite a bit since we've started the pilot, but recently I put out a survey. Obviously, that's the easiest way for me to collect feedback from a large group of teachers. So our teachers have started the pilot. At the elementary level, they just finished their first term. Or trimester, and at the secondary level, obviously they finished their first quarter. So I thought it would be a good time just to get the first kind of dipstick on the by sending out a survey. I also surveyed our building leaders in terms of principals, assistant principals, and our curriculum leaders. And so 3 different surveys I put out, and I collected information. And I want to share some of it with you. I plan to do a second survey at the end or at the mid-year point. So this is just initial feedback at this point that I wanted to share with you. There were 20 questions on each survey, including multiple choice and open-ended questions. And some of the questions asked them to compare to their current resource that they're using. It asked about conceptual understanding, rigor, and alignment to standards. Engagement of the students and the quality of the assessments that illustrative math has, and then finally the quality of the teacher materials. So when I created these Google Slides, it was several days ago, but I had 29 responses in total from K-5 teachers, 10 responses in total from our math teachers. I believe that was all of them, and 10 responses from our building and curriculum leaders. And so the first responses that I want to go over from you, again, these are just initial responses, are some of our multiple choice questions. Again, this is just a sample because there were a number of multiple choice questions. The first one was, are the lessons well aligned to the Common Core? 90% of our K-5 teachers said yes. 40% of our K-6-8 teachers said yes, and our 100% of our building leaders said yes. Are the teachers actively engaged? Again, you can see here the responses. Do students demonstrate a deeper conceptual understanding? Again, the responses. And then would you recommend the district adopt the IM resource for next year? You can see the responses. Here are some of our open-ended responses. Again, this is just a sample of that I pulled. What aspects of the illustrative math curriculum design have been most effective in supporting student learning? I pulled a K-5 response. IM has been an outstanding vehicle for instruction. It definitely challenges our students' mathematical thinking and reasoning. Personally, I think the program is really going to help our students to better prepare for smarter balance. That's just one response. Next question was, how have your students responded to the illustrative math approach in terms of engagement, discussion, persistence, and confidence? And how does their response compare to the approach the district has used previously? The response from one of our middle school teachers is, I think they're taking to it well enough. However, I also count the way I assemble it to present it to them plays a large part in it. And I think that was a very fair and transparent response, because certainly our teachers in their lesson planning makes a difference. And then finally, what are the most significant strengths of the illustrative math resource? This is from one of our leaders, the increase in rigor and expectations. As an example, standards that were previously introduced at the end of grade 1 have previously been introduced, and students are able to access and develop understandings. This has been very eye-opening for our teachers and is leading to higher expectations for students. Cool downs at the end of most lessons forces teachers to have real-time understanding where students are. Checkpoints at the end of the unit assessments, along with the rubrics, are helping teachers to better understand the standards being taught. The next thing I want to do is talk about the building thinking classrooms approach, or what we like to refer to as the BTC approach. So building thinking classrooms is an approach that was developed by a researcher named Peter Lilienthal, and it's based on 15 years of research. I have a video here. Obviously, I can't show it to you because you don't have the audio capacity, but this is the important, emphasizes the importance on doing the math over being told what to do. Again, that's that student-centered approach. And it uses 14 instructional practices that promote student thinking, collaboration, and perseverance, including the following. And this is just some of the things that on this in terms of the instructional practices, the types of tasks that students do, where, when, and how tasks are given, how groups are formed, where students work, how to address student questions, and how to use formative assessment. And this is a lot of training that we've been doing with our middle and high school teachers, although our elementary school teachers are also starting to dabble in this approach. And it's very aligned to our to the illustrative math resource that our teachers are piloting right now. And so that's why we felt like it was good to kind of start to incorporate this approach with the work that we're doing. And so this is our last slide, and I think I've kind of whipped through this presentation, but I'm going to give you plenty of time to ask questions. But overall, in summary, we've been, as a part of this enhancement plan, I've been taking like a three-pronged approach to our improving our math instruction and overall student performance. And it involves defining a new vision and approach to math instruction, identifying and like updating our curriculum and identifying new resources for teachers, and providing support to our staff through professional development, whether those be district and school sessions, providing them with coaching or modeling in our classrooms. So that said, I will be happy to take any questions that you have at this time. Okay, Jen?
I think Andrea had a hand up first.
I think
Oh, I'm
Dr.
sorry. This is the
Ackerman.
first hand I saw. So
Yeah, no.
She's probably trying to unmute.
Who's on first?
You, Andrea.
You are
Okay.
Dr. Ackerman.
Okay. I would really like to see this, and I mean the two videos, and I know that we could access in other ways, but I'd like to see it as a maybe if we could put it on an agenda at a COW,
Sure.
because I'd like to hear if there are any questions or discussion. I'd like to hear that and not just listen to it on my own.
Sure.
Thank you.
Then
I think Dean was before me, Beverly. I didn't want to jump in the.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, okay. So Anne Marie, thank you for looking into this. Sometimes, if you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, well, you know the rest. So thank you for looking into like how we can approach math in a different way. My question is, if we move forward or in the implementation process or selecting the students, are you going to be targeting the students who are below the meeting the standards, the students meeting the standards, or the students who are already at standards? So just trying to understand like how you're going to select for the pilot programs.
So we are piloting right now 1 to 2 units in each school for every student.
Oh, okay. So it's not like a limited scope, like maybe like 25 to 50 kids, and then you're
No,
just going to follow them throughout
yeah, so
their
illustrative,
academic.
no, thank you for asking that. And I'm sorry that I didn't clarify that. Illustrative math is a comprehensive resource that you would use. It's like almost like it's a curriculum resource. And so what we did this summer was we identified identified specific units, like say for grade 3 or grade 4. We said, okay, we really like this fraction resource better than, or this fraction unit better than what we're doing. And so we said, okay, in grade 4, we are going to use their unit on fractions in for that grade level. And and teach that particular unit this year and see how that goes. In grade 5, maybe they picked out a unit on I can't think of one off the top of my head, but so they've identified each of the grade levels identified 1 to 2 units in the resource that they said for this year we are selecting these particular units of study, and that instead of teaching our existing unit, we are teaching the illustrative math unit.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
John?
Thank you, Beverly. Hey, Marie, I have 2 questions and then a suggestion.
Sure.
One question is, I know that with iReady, the one of the individualized pieces that is provided as far as reporting for math is quantiles as an individual measure. Is that something that the math team is utilizing and in individualized instruction?
Yeah, I will tell you that our teachers are still, obviously this is a new resource for us, and our teachers are still learning. There's so much with illustrative math. All of the different reports. We actually have a training coming up because one of the things that pieces of feedback that our teachers have kind of given me is that we need to learn more about illustrative math. They kind of had an they had a training last year when they were piloting, and then they had a training in the beginning of the year this year, and they kind of came to me and said, Emery, we need more training on illustrative math. We feel like illustrative math is such a wealth of resources that we could learn so much more in terms of how to help our kids. So we have an additional training coming up, and I think that's something again that they can learn much more about all the various reports and things. Sean.
Thank you. If it's anything relating to quantiles, let me know. That's what I do for a living.
Yeah, sure.
As well as with imaginary learning, they are going to be launching or Illustrated Math is going to be launching a benchmark assessment in 26 and 27. Is that a new benchmark assessment? Is that something you guys are having conversations with them about?
Yeah, so I have a conversation coming up with them. They have not talked to me about it yet, but we have a meeting coming up, and I would love to hear more about. They have not talked to me about it, but I'd love to hear more about that.
Okay, perfect. And then the last piece, for the videos from YouTube, there is a way your technology team at the district could probably do this for you, is embedding those videos directly into the PowerPoint. Then even from YouTube, then it will play directly.
Okay, I'll talk to Clint about that. Thanks for the tip.
No problem.
Dean?
Yes, thank you. I probably mentioned this before. I'm pretty sure that as a school child, I'm a product of the panic following the launch of Sputnik, when the U.S. was trying to figure out how to get out from what they thought was being behind the Soviets. I don't really know what came before me. I remember my math instruction. There seemed to be a lot of emphasis on sets at the beginning of the year, every year. I don't know what that was pertinent to. But in any event, um, I know that math scores, not just nationally, but internationally, in many countries are seeing that there's been a huge falling off after COVID. There is a rush to do something about that, to both revive what's seen as stagnant scoring from post-COVID and also from before COVID. So I laud almost any effort to see what we can do to improve math instruction and math learning, not just the instruction. Um, I think I could be wrong, but the Building Thinking Classrooms, the BTC program that Peter Liljedahl has come up with, that's probably part of the larger, minimally guided instruction philosophy. Has been applied to other areas as well. In other words, let's move away from the traditional teacher stands in front of the room and tells the kids what they need to know. Um, but the little part of me is always thinking, sometimes do we throw the baby out with the bathwater? And all programs have their fans and their detractors, and
Sure.
BTC has its share of detractors as well, people who've argued that his research is flawed or has flaws in it, people who have been more moderate and said that BTC works, but maybe doesn't work as well for providing foundation. So what you might wind up with, or what the experience has been in other districts, has been that BTC works best with students who already have some math fluency. But for those students who suffer from, I'll just put it in a nutshell, socioeconomic disadvantages, um, the foundations seem to be better provided by the more old-fashioned instruction followed by practice. In other words, get the basics down before we move into breaking the kids out into groups, student-centered learning, and all of that. Um, and there's also the critique that, and I'll let you address these when I'm done, the critique that the approach provides or creates a lot of activity. So it's great for creating the engagement. But the ultimate question is, do the students actually learn anything? And like with everything else, I guess we'll know once the thing is implemented whether it works or not. Again, the people who have been at least moderate critics have said they like BTC, but not when it's applied as the 100% method. They see it, they like it as more as an adjunct to other methods. So that would be my concern. I guess I don't want to generate another cadre of students or cohort of students that we've, for lack of a better term, experimented on as we've done in other areas and found out, oops, that approach doesn't work either. Our scores are stagnant, or we've even fallen behind. And well, we'll start over again with another program when this one doesn't work. Um, so I'll let you address that. Are you aware of any criticisms? What's your answer to that one? Oh, and one more thing before I forget, because it's a later note. Um, I note that the responses, where the devil is it? And the initial feedback, the K through 5 classroom teachers were obviously more enthusiastic or provided more positive answers than the 6 to 8 math teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So students actively engaged, K through 5 said 62%, but the 6 to 8 actual math teachers, 30%. Demonstrated deeper conceptual understanding. K through 5 classroom teachers, 62%, but the 6 to 8 math teachers say 30%. That's quite a differential. And when you finally get to the do you recommend, the 6 to 8 math teachers are, meds and meds on the thing. So, all right, now I'll let you go.
Well, first thing I'd like to say is I'm really going to miss you being on the board and all of your great questions. So thank you for that. And then I'd like to say that I love the reference that you make to Sputnik because I'm a child of the 80s and I very specifically remember when the Nation at Risk came out. And I think I was a product of that time period, and all of my instruction was in response to that report. So, while we are products of a different time, our education was impacted by something really significant that happened. Um, I think, what you've just asked me a lot of questions, but I think the most important thing for me to address is the fact that, there is no magic bullet in education. And so while I like the building thinking classrooms approach because it is problem based and student centered and it aligns with some of the work that we're doing here in illustrative math in terms of the pilot, I do not believe that building thinking classrooms is something that you can do every day. It's not. In fact, it's something that, when we talk to teachers, we have said to them specifically, don't do this every day. I don't believe that is something that, because even a student-centered classroom, you can't do that every day. There are times that you are going to provide direct instruction to students. It's just a fact. You have to, you're going to get up and you're going to need to whether it be lecture or give notes or whatever you want, however you want to call it these days. I guess lecture is a dirty word. So now we say provide direct instruction. There's going to be days that you're going to have to do different things. So not every day is going to be group work or small group discussion or some kind of gamify. And so this also applies to building thinking classrooms. And so as great as we think this is, every day is going to be a little bit of a mix of different things. And maybe you're doing building thinking classrooms every third or fourth day, but it's certainly not an everyday thing. At least in my, I've now read. I think everyone knows I have a background as an English teacher and also a social studies certification. And I've read now 2 different books on building thinking classrooms. And my interpretation of this is it. Now Peter may disagree, but Mr. Lilienthal, Dr. Lilienthal, but this is not something that I would approach in terms of doing every day in my classroom. So I hope that answers your question. Now, in terms of, I'd like to transition and talk about the middle school teacher's response because, it's, I obviously noticed that and I wanted to be really transparent in putting this information out as I share the responses of the surveys to you. This is something that obviously the K-5 teachers are really favorable to the resource so far in the pilot, and our building leaders, K-12, or at least K-8, have been really responsive or positive in their responses. And our 6-8 teachers, as you said, are kind of mess. I think that there's a couple of reasons for that. And I'm working with Peter to find out a little bit more, and also our math curriculum chair, Caitlin Crowley. But as I've talked to Caitlin a little bit, I had a phone conversation with her today, just said, hey, can you talk to me a little bit more about this? She said, most of our professional development so far this year and last year has been around the building thinking classrooms, and we have not devoted as much time to the illustrative math, not only in terms of the professional development, because we haven't, truth be told, we have, it's a pilot. So we haven't provided the teachers with professional development around this resource, and we haven't given them a lot of time to adjust their curriculum because we don't know if we're adopting it yet. If we go forward with adoption, we're going to provide them with time. We're going to provide them with professional development. And I think that will make them feel a little bit more at ease. Right now, the way that Caitlin has described it to me, they feel like there's been a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but they are, they've adopted iReady, which is a new resource. They're piloting illustrative math, and more than the elementary level has not done much with building thinking classrooms, but the middle and high school has. And so they've, plus, in addition to that, they're preparing for their reaccreditation in the IB, the middle years program. So they've had a lot of different things that they're balancing, and they feel like right now the illustrative math it's a lot. And so that, I think, is kind of reflective of the feedback. So we're going to give them a little bit more time and maybe a little bit more support. And they're actually going to get some time after school to work on preparing for the next unit. And I'm going to hope that once they do, they will be a little bit more favorable when that second survey comes back. We'll see.
Thank you. And I know I threw a bunch of questions in a series at you, but I judged you capable of actually handling it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Ian?
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation. And some of my concerns definitely fall in line with what Dean was talking about. But just one thing. Is this attached to an action item that's happening later in the agenda? Because I was just looking. Are we voting on something tonight?
No.
No. This information. It's a presentation.
Okay. I thought at one point in the last year or so that we decided that we weren't going to do that at regular meetings, that we're going to have committee of the whole meeting.
Can we address that issue later? Do you have a question for Anne Marie? You could call me up and we could talk about it.
Okay, because I mean, I appreciate the
You have a
information.
question for
My
Anne Marie?
question, I guess, what it comes down to is, my comment is and I'm glad Dr. Mancini also alluded to this, is that there is no one way um, to teach anything, especially when it comes to math. There's multiple points of entry, and in my experience, I've used very modern materials at times. I've used materials that I was familiar with and used to in my growing up, or I've used materials that were, maybe from Dean's era. Um, so,
The before time.
well, whatever hits, whatever gets traction, we talk about student-centered education. I think teachers need to have some flexibility, as much flexibility as possible when it comes to trying to find the material that really tracks with whatever students they have. Um, so I'll just say that, and I'm all in favor of widening the ramp and lessening the incline by whatever means necessary. Um, I guess the technical question is this, with iReady and this sort of illustrative math approach, is there an opportunity to capture data coming out of that as far as like micro progressions, if we could call it something like that, where we're trying to get a better sense of student progression. And one of the things we talked about was having teachers come back to us and tell us how they think they could demonstrate student progression in a way that maybe is not being captured by the standardized tests. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, so iReady, there's a lot of data that comes out of the iReady assessment, and then each of the illustrative math units. So there's formative assessments in each of the illustrative math units, as well as like a unit-based assessment.
And that could be anonymized in a way that could be shared as showing progress, but not identifying, not violating any sense of privacy.
Probably. It might be a little bit hard with the unit-based assessments in terms of, reporting out each unit by school, by grade level, but the iReady assessments, the given 3 times a year would be easier for sure.
Understood. Okay. Thank you. And I appreciate all
Mhm.
your work on this. And I also just want to second Andrea's suggestion that this would have been well served in a cow meeting where we could have done a deep dive on this alone, or this amongst another couple subjects in a exploratory fashion.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Sure.
Dr. A.
Yeah, let me correct that before we go on, and that is that my suggestion was not that we do it at a COW. My suggestion was that we add the videos to the agenda so that we could look at it together. And I but that's not why my hand was up. At any rate, what I wanted to thank Anne Marie about was your common sense approach to this. And when you said to the teachers, or whoever said to the teachers, don't do this every day, because one of the things that we must not lose sight of is learning styles. And I'm an abstract sequential learner. Please step me down and give me a lecture. I want to hear about it. I want to hear about the experts' take on whatever it is that we're doing. I also realize that at times the lesson itself will determine how what learning style is appeal to. You can't learn to throw a pot by listening to somebody talk about it. So, but I wanted to say that I appreciate this common sense approach, that and to remind everyone not to forsake the idea of individual learning styles.
I couldn't
Thank you,
agree more,
Dr.
Dr.
A.
Ackerman.
Mike.
Thanks. And thank you for the presentation of the thoughtful look at this. I just wondered, could you comment specifically on, so in our strategic plan, there's that, the main performance indicators. And one of them, of course, is bringing up our math scores by quite a bit over 5 years. Is there like a real Well, I guess I'll ask you: is this likely to achieve that alone, or is there something else we also need to do, like a burst of funding, hiring, or things like that?
Well, I think that one of the things I want to say, Mike, is that, there's probably a lot of things, right? There's not one thing that is going to happen. It's not just purchasing one resource. Or purchasing, in this case, we already made a purchase of iReady at the end of last year, and we started implementing these assessments and the personalized learning tool. But it's a lot of different things, and I that's what I'm hoping that is kind of coming through in the presentation. We're using the iReady diagnostic, and that's helping our teachers be informed of where our students exactly are, and so that they can monitor the process. Their progress. And then it's using the personalized learning tools so that the teachers are accessing those different lessons, and the kids are practicing on the using the online platform. And then it's monitoring the progress, making sure the kids are getting on and doing their minutes every year, and every day. And then it's not just about the minutes, it's that they're mastering those standards that they hadn't mastered. And so it's, checking those things. And then it's making sure that we have like when we talk about building coherence, it's that we have the same program K through 8, and so that all of our teachers know that from K to 1, what specific those are guaranteed lessons or skills that they're building from year to year. So it's not just K to 1, and it's 1 to 2. And then as they make that transition from elementary school to middle school, our teachers at the middle school level kind of know what's being built upon from one grade level or like not even just grade level, from that elementary program to the middle school program right now, because we have all of these different resources. When their kids come to, and this is not a criticism of our any particular level. It's just that right now, because we have so many different resources that we're using, when our kids come to our middle school, our teachers have no idea. Like, they know generally what our kids have learned because they know about the standards, but they don't know how it was taught because they don't have access to those resources. And they don't know what progression they were taught in which they were taught, because again, they don't have access to those resources. So it's making sure that there's a coherence from one grade level to the next. So there's a lot of different things that I think that I'm kind of looking to build here as a part of this enhancement program, or this enhancement plan. And then monitoring it, being in the classrooms. Right now we've implemented these literacy walkthroughs that I think Susan kind of can reinforce this. We are so pleased with what we're seeing, and the way that all of our principals have kind of invested in as we are going in the classrooms and looking at the way that we're implementing the Wit and Wisdom program and our science of reading, and how we are learning from one another by just kind of visiting the classrooms, and how this particular strategy is being implemented by one teacher, and then going into the same classroom or the next classroom in the same building in that same grade level, and how we can learn about how the next teacher does it. It's just would be so powerful when we apply that to math. So I really think that this plan is going to make a difference. The other thing I wanted to say is I just lost the thought, but it will come back to me. I do know what I wanted to say. We had some teachers who have used this program in other districts, either when they were student teaching or maybe because they're relatively new to our district. And so when they heard last year we were going to pilot a unit in illustrative math, they decided, well, we're going to cheat a little bit. And so they started to they maybe piloted a couple of lessons last year, or maybe a unit. And those teachers were at 2 buildings, Thames River and CK. And I don't know if any of you recognize, but those 2 buildings were our 2 buildings that were recognized as schools of distinction for math. And I think that's really worth noting. So if that gives you any kind of, I guess, a preview, or maybe answers your question, Mike, I think to me, that was really promising.
Thanks, and that is a really helpful answer and great insight. And like when budget season comes, I'm hoping we can push through myself. I'm hoping we can push through more coordinator positions like we had in the past. Thanks.
Adrian?
Yeah. I just a lot of my questions actually have already been asked, so I'm just gonna I'll ask a little bit more. Dean touched on this, but other district use of the program, do we know any success stories where this has been used with improved results from other districts that we can kind of, lean on what others have learned?
Yeah. Well, are you talking about the iReady? Or are you talking about illustrative math? Which one are you talking about
Oh,
specifically?
illustrative math.
Yeah, well, I can tell you in my previous district, they used illustrative math. That was not something that, so it was relatively, I would say we adopted in 1819, around that time period. And I will tell you that post-pandemic, we were recognized by the state. Now, again, we are a Alliance district, but post-pandemic, we were recognized by the State Department of Ed specifically for having zero learning loss in mathematics. In fact, I think they actually improved in math, had zero learning loss in ELA, and showed a minor improvement in mathematics. And that was kind of unheard of immediately following the pandemic. But there are a lot of districts that are using illustrative math. This is one of the state model programs.
All right.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, that's great to hear, and I appreciate that. I mean, I also appreciate the long-term look that you're doing into this and the long-term plan, so that we really know kind of benchmarks on where we're going and how things are going, and then we can obviously make changes to that as time goes on, as we learn as a district. So I appreciate that very comprehensive plan that you put together on this.
Thank you.
Um, and also the support for training that you were talking about in the elementary school. I think training, especially with a new system almost of teaching math, I think the training is going to be key, in whatever we can do to support that. Um, now I see there's multiple publishers of this. It looks like Imagine Learning, Kendall Hunt, and McGraw-Hill. In
There
were
are six, actually. There are only six approved vendors of illustrative math. We looked at, or before I even brought it as a pilot, I looked at three. One immediately I disqualified, and I think it was because it was only online. And the Kendall Hunt and illustrative and Imagine Learning I brought in for principals and curriculum leaders to review last year.
all right.
Mhm.
All right, yeah, that's I was wondering which way we're going. And so, is it illustrative math that we're going to be piloting?
Yes, that's currently where, oh, you mean in terms of Imagine Learning?
Or yeah,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Imagine Learning. Too.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, and then the other thing, I went to Curate, which is, Massachusetts did this thing that's similar to EdSite, but they just did it in the state. And that's Curate, and I didn't read the whole study, but it just says the one place, and this is the 2021 version of it, that it didn't get top marks, but still did really well, was in accessibility for students. So I'd be curious to know what that was about, and if there's anything, if we agree with that or not. You know,
Yeah, so I haven't seen that. I certainly rely on Ed Reports, especially the 2020, the most updated version, because these companies are constantly updating the versions. So we would be purchasing the most updated version. But I can certainly ask about the 2021 version. They're going to say to me that's outdated, and we're not even using that version anymore. But I can ask about it.
yeah, I mean, it's just that it's just a data point. And then in the 6 through 8, it gets top score right across. But I'm also interested on how this kind of rolls out over the next few years, and to see. Obviously, we want to get more middle school buy-in.
For sure.
We need to give the teacher something that they feel that they can be successful with.
Absolutely.
And
I think the most important thing is, when you're rolling out a curriculum program resource, if the teachers don't buy in, you got a problem. And so I need to get in front of I've certainly have spent a lot of my time with the elementary folks. I have not spent a lot of time with the middle school folks because I've been relying on our chair to do that. I need to get more FaceTime with our middle school folks and hear more about their concerns, and hopefully I can start to address them.
All right. Yeah. All right. I mean, that sounds great. But again, I want to say, I know we've talked about this in curriculum already, so we've done some review of this already as a committee, but I do appreciate all the work, and I look forward to increased math scores and children that are better at math in general.
Me too. Me too. So important.
John?
Anne Marie, I just want to say thank you for such a thorough presentation, and thank you. I think your explanations and answers to our questions were well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? That's it. Thank you, Nancy. Sean said, thank you for all your hard work and all our questions. And like Adrian said, I'm looking forward to seeing how all this, in pet stores and, how this plays out in the near future. So thank you.
you. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to all the teachers who have been they're really doing the hard work here, our teachers and our curriculum leaders. And so I want to just give them a shout out because they have been working really hard with this. And I appreciate them so much.
We do too. We didn't say it, but thank you for saying it. Because I know the board does appreciate the teachers and all the hard work that they do. Okay, next on the agenda is we're going to hold off on the special ed report, and we're going to take care of that in December. So next is the Director of Finance report.
Hopefully, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'm hoping I can share my screen as well as Anne Marie did. It's been a while. I'm not sure what's going on.
Sean, did you have another question? I see your hand up.
No, I just haven't lowered it yet. I will lower it now.
Okay, no problem.
Caitlin, did you receive from Joyce the attachments? This was attachment number 3.
Yes. I
Can
can
you put that up?
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm having problems sharing.
Okay. It's number 3, you said?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Can you make it a little larger?
Yep.
I'm going to close my notebook so I can hopefully follow along with you guys. So, yeah, this is the general fund as of November 19th, and I just would like to point out some changes and areas of that I've been looking into. As far as the salaries go, unfortunately, we still have not been able to encumber the hourly salaries. Me and my staff are looking into e-finance and how it works, and not wanting to use purchase orders or anything like that. So we're still trying to get those encumbered. Can you scroll down? I wish I had access to. As far as the benefits line, which is the 200 lines, I wanted to note that accounts 203 and 228 have been utilized to track life insurance and fringe benefits. Formerly, everything was grouped in 201 group insurance. And I'd like to split them out so that we can go into budget season knowing exactly what makes up those numbers, if that makes sense. Those are the two things. And under the 500s, I wanted to note that 555 was created to track expenditures of copies previously charged to repairs of equipment. We do show a deficit in that line that I believe I'm proposing transfers for. Does anybody have any questions? Of course, the detail is the next few pages. And I know someone asked for a report from eFinance. This particular report is 383 pages long. So what I attached with this report is it's a 5-page report by function so that you can see that the expenditures and the available balance are the same. So that's the report that follows this report by object.
Are you talking about attachment number 4?
Yeah, well, keep going. I
Oh,
thought it
that's the
was,
transfers.
no, I think this is all one attachment.
Okay.
This is attachment 3.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
there's
number
4
3.
pages of detail, but that report, the PDF of this object report is 383 pages. So I think that's why they didn't in the past attach it. So I prefer to attach the one by function, which gives you the expenditure totals and the available balance totals that match. Does anybody have any questions?
So the Excel spreadsheet has the nice, neat lines, and it's going by object code, but the other one is right from eFinance, I understand. And there
Yes.
aren't the lines, and it's done by functions instead. But the bottom line is the numbers add up to be the same thing when we cross.
Yeah, I just wanted to show that we are getting the numbers from eFinance and that they are accurate.
That guy. Yeah.
Any question, Rita, on attachment number 3? Okay. You want to do attachment number 4, Rita?
So attachment number 4, I believe, is the budget transfers between functions.
And you've also talked about making sure that our function codes are correct. For instance, you might want to talk about the 1700 versus the 20.
Yeah, in the first budget transfer that was approved on October 27th, I had created function 2399 because function 1700 for the state, anything that begins with a 1, anything in the 1000 series needs to be instruction. So the function for district-wide admin expenses such as, insurance, legal fees, there's a lot of workers' comp, etc., needs to be in the 2300. So that's why you see 2399 as a new function. So the areas in blue means that the board has already approved those budget transfer. So what I'm bringing to the board tonight starts on page 3. And it's not highlighted, those budget transfers. The first one is for facilities. In the past, budget transfers weren't necessarily done for things that are in the same function. Like say we would run a report on facilities 2510, and as long as they're staying within budget, they may not do transfers right away. But I'd like to get ahead of the game and make sure that all the transfers are made, especially before we go into the budget season, so that we can budget appropriately. So you'll see a budget transfer here for facilities to true up the negative balances, and that is all the way. Page 4 is that same transfer, and yes, and that transfer totals 440,229. on page 5, there's another facilities transfer that totals 137,619. The other two are a little bit smaller, but it's if you have any questions, it's really transferring funds to the areas of need.
Rita.
I
Jay,
see some questions.
Jay, a question?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I have a lot of questions. I just wonder, because this is a new process, if maybe this is something that we could put into the finance agenda before it comes to this meeting. There are a lot of transfers here, and it would be virtually impossible to really line everything up. But in general, I'm looking at some of these major items, Rita, such as pupil transportation. If we're looking at the printout from eFinance,
Yes.
so we're seeing that account is currently has an available balance of negative 235,000. So is that one of the transfers that you're attempting to balance with the
No,
operation and maintenance fuel oil
no,
transfer?
that transfer has not been developed yet. If I have notes, I agree with you. The last transfers went to the facilities, finance and facilities meeting prior to the Board of Ed. So I do agree with you in that sense. Unfortunately, when we have cancellations or these transfers have to be made so we can pay bills. But I totally agree with you. The transportation negative available balance, I'm still looking into that, so I haven't written up that transfer yet. But this transfer in front of you is just the ones that are not highlighted because the other ones have been approved, and it's mainly focusing on operations and maintenance supplies. There's some little ones in there, but it's mainly their supply lines. And I want to bring up the fact that the supply object codes, you guys call them account codes, they're really granular. Like what I mean by that is you have maintenance supplies for plumbing, maintenance supplies for electrical, maintenance supplies for heating. I mean, to me, maintenance and custodial supplies should be one line because we're going to be having thousands and upon thousands of transfers if it's that granular. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I'm starting to get that idea. And of course, I realize so currently the available balance of negative 235,000 is based on encumbrances, which may or may not be completely accurate. I realize that's not really an emergency, so to speak. We
Right,
still
it is based
have
on, right.
Yeah, we still have $5.8 million encumbered. So I realize there's a lot involved because all these numbers are all based on purchase orders, right?
Correct.
And
Correct. It's based on our projection, which we're re-looking at just to make sure that 200,000 negative is accurate by the days and the extra runs. Transportation is pretty involved and complicated.
Right. So it doesn't necessarily set off alarms. But the other thing in general that I was curious about, so function 1119, and I know I'm bouncing a little bit, but this is considered unclassified. And we're already projecting 91,000. It would just be, for me, I would like to see a little more narrative with regard to what's in, that function. just to get a better idea. And I don't know what your level of confidence is in that line.
Well, I'm thinking the 1119 is probably salaries, and it could be substitutes at this point. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's not non-salaries, because I would be focusing on doing a budget transfer. With salaries, I typically don't do transfers every month. I look at them every 3 to 4 months. Sometimes I do a transfer in January, and then I true up the salaries in May, because there's so many lines to do a transfer. So I do think that the 119, but I can look into that for you and have more notes in the future.
And given the large number of transfers, while it's not on the order of the total amount that we had last month, and I'm sorry that I missed that meeting, but by the same token, they're just, as you mentioned, they're just a large number of transfers, and it's not always clear where we're taking from and why we're transferring to. If it would be possible, I know there are only just so many hours in the day, but to get a little more narrative about what's causing this issue. Just to throw out one more example, there was a line where we were transferring. We had a negative number for account 633, the fuel. And then on the next page, we had a positive. And I'm just kind of curious how that all nets out and why, what's driving those transfers.
Yeah, I understand. It's all new, and it's hard to give a lot of detail on this page. So I could try
and
to.
So
yeah.
At this point, I mean, we trust that you know exactly what you're doing here. You're seeing the actual expenses roll in. It's just a little bit difficult as a board member to be asked to vote on something like this and really not know exactly what's driving all of these true ups, so to speak, especially just a few months into the year. But I realize it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I think maybe I shouldn't have done as many in one. This is all facilities, and like I said, 650, 653, 654, all those accounts are granular in my opinion, and should be concise as far as like consolidated into just operation and maintenance supplies. Those are all supply lines, and that's why we have all these little negatives going on, because you don't know how much you're going to spend on electrical supplies, heating supplies, HVAC supplies every year. It's very hard to budget that granular. And I would like to go into this budget season budgeting, into a bigger category, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, I think that would be a lot
Rita,
easier
you and
to
I
picture.
discussed. Oh, I'm sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, so function 2510, account 633, operation and maintenance fuel oil. On page 3 of the transfers spreadsheet, and I'm sorry again to be bouncing, but so we've got a true up transfer 175,682 for function 2510 633. Yep, there you are. That's page 3. It's probably hard to see on the screen. However, on page 5, we have a negative true up to that same function and account. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around what's going on there.
So maybe if I add the department level, because that's what's going on there, is that there's the function, there's the account, and then there's the department. So it could be the high school or the middle school, or they're all separate accounts.
Yep.
So I think it would probably help you if I added the location.
I always felt that the Board of Ed should approve if we're moving among, if we're taking wages, for example.
Yeah.
If you're asking us to reduce a wage account and pay for a supply account, like the year that we had the flood at Mystic River and the repair and maintenance account went haywire. That went deeply into the negative. And so if we had to take that from salaries, or if we had to take it from supplies, then I think the board would have to approve that. Ironically, even though that went negative for many, many months, we got most of it back in insurance the next year. So if we'd made all those transfers, then a couple months later, we would have had to reverse all those transfers back out to all the accounts they came out of because the insurance paid for it. And I just see this as becoming so difficult that we already spend the better part of 3 months on the budget. And
Yeah.
now when we go back and review all of this, I think it's just going to become exponentially more difficult to understand. But anyway, that's me, and I've taken up enough oxygen.
But actually,
Thank you.
I think you brought up a good point. That transfer for 440,000 is all in function 2510. I thought I hit another function, so that's why I added it. But I don't think it should be on for approval because it's not hitting another function. The next transfer is hitting another function. So that's my error. If it's within functions, it doesn't have to come to the board for approval.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If all of a sudden you said, you know what, we're going to reduce a wage account to pay for
Right.
repair and maintenance, I can see the board having to approve that. But these others, I really don't think that we need to, but that's just me. So, all right. Thank you so much.
Ian, you have your hand up? Thank you, Jay.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to commend you, Rita, on this report. I agree. I think that adding the department level could help with the detail. I can appreciate what Jay was saying, to a certain extent. But even though it's not required, I like knowing this level of adjustments that are happening. And if we add department level detail to that, then we can get better sense. Because as you said, moving into the budget season, it gives us the tools we need to set better parameters. And maybe that would minimize adjustments in the future, like this. And but I just wanted to thank you for the efforts you put forth on this. I see the description level added. And yeah, this I think we're moving along on a good track here.
I know it's
And
a lot. I do want to say that the first year is going to be tough because we are trying to just later it'll be minimized. You know what I mean?
understood. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying is I think what we have here is a transitional year where it's like you're coming online and you're bringing your level of rigor to this process. And I think it's moving in a direction that at least, is addressing a lot of the concerns I've had in the past. And as we develop this report, adding like you said, the department level detail, and maybe as Jay noted, like maybe a little bit of narrative to explain what it was that prompted the move.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is great. And personally, I anticipate that these sorts of true ups would over time decrease in mass, because we would get more targeted, more articulated with our budgeting process, with having a better understanding of where the needs really occur and where they unfurl any given year.
That is my goal.
Appreciate your efforts, Rita.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Adrian, have your hand up?
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to echo that. I appreciate all of the rigor that's going into this, Rita. But I do have and this is I feel silly having to ask this. So But when we have a function adjustment, so if we were to go to just like the top line of page 7, it's function 1107, um, account 612, technology ed. We're pulling 58,000 out of that account. Where is it going to?
So it's going to legal, which is right below. 50,000 is going to legal. When it's a negative, it's coming out of the account. And it's a positive, it's going in. So that technology software, I did put a little description that it was grant funded at the end of last year. We were trying to minimize the carryover for Title I to the allowed 15%. And so we prepaid some of the instructional software at the end of last year. So once I found out that, and I know we needed money in legal, that's where I transferred most of the funds to. You see what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
positive, it's going into legal, it's going into high school completion, because they needed funds there, and so on.
All right. So and that was my next question is, are we expecting, so legal, I believe was something like 70,000 was what we had budgeted for legal. Are we adjusting that up 50,000?
Yes, because we're already spending more than we thought by this year, because we had negotiations, so the legal expenses need to be increased.
All right. All right. And I guess one other thing, how are we going to capture where like we're using some grant funding as kind of a temporary backing to funding, but we need to make sure that we capture that when we go into budget next year. How are you keeping track of that so we know that, all right, well, we only budgeted 50,000 for this category because we had another 50,000 in grant funding. But now that we don't have that, we know we need 100,000 next year. Am I asking that clearly enough?
Yeah, that was budgeted in the teaching and learning budget, and I anticipate it to be in that budget for FY27, because we only prepaid for 1 year, so it should be in that budget again.
All right. So I guess
That makes sense.
you are kind of tracking that type of thing.
Yes,
Have something unusual happening that makes
right,
it seem like we spent less money than we actually did. We're not gonna forget about that, basically.
right. We
Yeah.
still have to account for all the software we needed.
And then I guess if we go to page 6, third line up from the bottom, I know I'd sent an email on this, um, but that's function 1107, account 612, technology ed, computer software. There's a credit or out of that account of 26,680. Where is that? Are we cutting?
That's the same case. It's the same account. Same case as far as what we just talked about on
All
page
right,
7.
it's also a grant. Some of that
Correct,
is grant funded money.
correct. Sorry that I didn't include that in the description, and maybe in the future I can have a narrative under each budget transfer, just like a 1 sentence or 1 line item
Yeah,
between each budget, in between each budget transfer, to kind of give you guys some more detail.
yeah, and just transfers between functions, right? And I kind of agree with what Jay was saying, like as far as it'd be great if we didn't have to approve all these transfers that seem like they're happening inside function codes that are small and maybe not, that's just a department moving money around as they see fit or need to. But yeah,
Correct.
but us hopefully voting on a block of things that are moving kind of the larger funds around, between different function codes. So, but I do appreciate all this and thank you for all the work that you've been doing.
I do want to say there are other transfers that are between functions that are small that are not on here. The schools do transfers that are small that are between their functions.
Yeah, is there a minimum? I think there was a minimum. I don't remember that. that policy, but there's a minimum on that, right? Like, like a
Um,
dollar minimum that would have to come to the board.
um, I'm not sure. When I read it, I didn't see that there was a minimum.
All right, well, we
I
can,
check and see.
I checked that what I read was if it goes between functions, I bring it to the board. The facility is 440,000. I think that's all between 2510, but I think because it was so big and because I'm collapsing accounts, I feel like it was a good idea for you guys to see it.
I think the collapsing of accounts and getting the right numbers is what you're doing, Rita, is going to make the most sense.
Okay. Any other questions for Rita? Thank you, Rita. And as we go along, I know this will get easier and better. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You want to go over attachment 5?
Attachment 5 is the MDG
The healthcare
report.
report?
Yeah, you can put it on the screen. I looked it over today. I'm trying to spend a little bit more time in the next month or so on just understanding how we budget the group insurance that is self-funded. But I did look at this, and if you have questions, I'm not sure if I can answer, but I will try. It's basically just our activity for September, and because I didn't receive October's yet. And I don't believe the board has seen September.
What did you say, Rita? I'm sorry.
I don't believe you've seen September's yet.
We're still doing pretty well. Actuals are less than budgeted.
Well, this is more information than I've ever seen before, so thank you.
Yeah, I think what I do want to share when I get a chance is the actual plan, how the plan's doing. This is just a year glance at what's going on with claims, but I do like to keep an eye on the fund and how it's whether or not we're staying, within the fund. If that makes sense.
Jay has a question. Jay, you have a question?
Yes. First of all, I think this is the first time that we've seen
all of that
the
detail.
entire plan with the town. So that's interesting to see how we're tracking against the town, since we're both out of the same account. But my question, and I don't really know if this is best directed to Rita or if this would really have to go to Lori, but a lot of large corporations in the area are in open enrollment right now. When does the district do open enrollment?
That is me. So that typically is in May, because our renewal is July. So typically we do the open enrollment for the for all of the staff in May. We send out emails and they can, choose a new plan or drop. The January open enrollment is for Medicare eligible staff who are retired. So we are doing a little bit with the new rates on that plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was wondering because it handicaps us to not get our rates until after we already have a proposed budget, and then all of a sudden, that gets dumped on us. And I thought to myself, wow, it's too bad that, like so many of the other private companies in the area that are doing their open enrollment in October, November, they obviously know their rates now. Because I think that's always been a pain point for us, is that we're going in with our best guess on that insurance line. But that explains it if you're doing it. So there's no way that we can go to October open enrollment and get these things nailed down quicker to better align with our budget process, huh?
Well, it's funny that you asked that because I did reach out to MDG today to see what they're projecting. When I was in Wyndham, we would get some preliminary numbers early January, and that's what we would use for our budget. Having open enrollment October, November, you're still not catching a whole 6 months of possible increase, right? Because it's gonna be January to December, right? It's not gonna be by fiscal year. But I did reach out to them, and we'll see what they say. But having a budget book, having the superintendent's budget book due by the mid-January, January 12th, I think it is. Most Board of Eds do not have their rates by then.
All right. And again, I want to echo, thank you for all your work on this, and we'll get our heads around it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ian?
Oh, thank you. Actually, Jay kind of stole my question there. So I'll just echo that. I appreciate the efforts, and I do like seeing the town and the district in comparative levels. And I look forward to hearing more comprehensive descriptions of how we're budgeting long term moving forward. And I would be very curious to hear of any ways that you think we could try to get ahead of the curve and remove that anomaly from our budgeting system as far as like us having to do the best guess approach. Thank you.
Jean has a question for you, Rita.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Rita. I know I am outgoing, but I've been a treasurer myself. And sometimes it's been a peaceful existence and sometimes not so peaceful an existence. It's hard to convey details in an understandable picture. We're all adults, we're all fairly well educated, and still there's a lot of communication that's necessary, and the picture does not always get transmitted. I think it's the nature of the beast and not the people who are involved in it. And you've got your hands full, but I think you knew that. I have confidence that I was going to use the example of the Gordian knot. If people remember, the Gordian knot was a famous knot in Gordium in Asia Minor that couldn't be untied. Well, Alexander the Great came along when he was moving east and he said, I'll untie it, took a sword, just cut right through it. I'm not saying that our budget is as bad as the Gordian knot, but it may seem so to a lot of people. Whether you untie it craftily or just take a sword and slice through it, I'm confident you'll lead us through to the sunlit uplands, as Churchill once referred to them. Thank you again.
I will do my best.
Okay, thank you, Rita, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Have a great night.
Thank you, Rita.
You as well. The next item on the agenda is the Director of Buildings and Grounds. Is Sam online? I don't see him.
No, Sam is on vacation, but I did talk to his admin assistant, and one of the big accomplishments was that we got everything out of Pleasant Valley. So there were some additional robotics had some additional I guess materials that were just for storage bins, and they were able to store those over at Wells Road, and everything else has come over to Fitch. And I think there were some last water bottles that were being taken and distributed. So my understanding was everything was cleared out of there, so it's good to go. So we're
get the container. Was Sam able to get the container?
Yes, I don't know that it's been parked yet. I'll have to find out about that, but he did put in the purchase order. And
so has
and those kind of
container
things
arrived, or you put in the
What's that?
purchase order, but has it arrived at Fitch? Or did
I
he
don't
just
think
put
it's
it?
arrived yet.
Okay.
There's another one that did arrive, but this one we're still waiting for. I will double check though tomorrow.
Okay. Any questions about facilities? All right. Moving on. The next item on the agenda is committee report. First one is policy.
Beverly, I had a question before you moved over.
Okay. See you here.
So my understanding is that the robotics moved and Sam's team moved, but I think that the district still has stuff at Pleasant Valley. So I don't, Susan, if you can follow up
Yep,
with
I will.
Sam's delegate, because that also needs to get removed, non-robotics related equipment that belongs to the district. So yeah, if you could just let us know where that stands, because I think we were supposed to get everything out um, by tomorrow, I believe.
I will check with his admin assistant and I'll check with his with Tom, who is in charge of maintenance.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Next is committee reports policy. Ian.
Yes, thank you. So policy met on November 20th. We discussed pretty much all the policies that you see in the action items queued up for tonight. And no major changes, just kind of reviewed them, just verified some of the changes that were discussed on ones that are in the second read, got in there. And then we also talked about future referrals and one of the things we're going to be doing is looking at the operational review and comparing that with the work that we've done over the past year, year and a half, and just kind of squaring up a comparison between what's been recommended in the operational review versus what we've already done versus what we still may yet need to do. So that'll be sort of the guiding document for our agenda, our policy committee agendas moving forward. I'll save most of the comments as far as the actual policies that we're voting on until we get to the motions.
Okay. Curriculum.
Yeah, so curriculum met on November 3rd. We have remote meetings now, so we met remotely. We reviewed a few different things. The first thing was world language offerings. We reviewed what we're offering the district to the students and when. So we didn't really get into elementary school, but we talked about middle school a little bit and in high school and how the classes align to what the from the study that was done, the what was it? I'm trying to think of what we did. We had a questionnaire that we sent out to parents and students a few years ago. Sorry, I was losing the word there. Um, but we just wanted to see how we align to that. And I think the big takeaway was something that we knew from that survey was that lots of students wanted ASL that aren't able to get it. I think one of the things is we don't offer ASL in the middle school. So I guess I'll leave it at that, and we can watch the meeting minutes if you want to know more about that. The other thing we spent a little bit of time talking about is we took a deep dive into the AP and IB results and class sizes to some extent, but the results on the testing over the last 3 years. So this is hopefully will make when the high school comes and presents to the full board. We kind of had the deep dive into some of those numbers in the curriculum, so hopefully we can watch those ahead of that meeting. It'll make it go a little bit smoother. But the big takeaway from that was our ECE results and the amount of college credit compared to the other classes. Those ECE classes really do give our students a leg up. I think it's something like 95% of the kids that took ECE classes, would leave the district with credits that they can use towards college. And the numbers for IB and AP were quite a bit lower, but those ECE numbers were surprisingly high. So I think that's it for curriculum. We have another meeting next week.
Thank you. Dean, Facilities and Finance.
Yes, we met on November 5th. We discussed a lot of what Rita discussed now. At this meeting, we talked about the operational review just as a preliminary matter. The operational review of priorities, the top 10, if you will. We went over the budget calendar, well, not in great detail, but we were presented with the proposed budget calendar as the date stood at the end of October. A lot of discussion about the unpaid meal debt. This would be folks that have not signed up as free and reduced, and we're running a tab. It's a little alarming so far. As of November 1st, the district is owed about $24,000. So there was some discussion about what we could do to get it, without necessarily sending people, sending folks over to people's homes and banging on their doors. There was also we also reviewed. Let's see, what else did we do? Yes, operations review, got that. Solar panels. The solar panel project that was proposed for Fitch High School, or at least applying to see if we could get into that. There was a brief update on the Charles Barnum roof. That seems to be a perennial favorite. There was an update on the robotics team move at the time, and also questions regarding the various maintenance matters. And also there was a brief review about, or some discussion about the MOU, which we'll be discussing in the future at this body, the MOU regarding the use of Mary Morrison's field, the backfield. The meadow, or whatever people want to refer to it as. I've called it the field in the MOU. So that's it. Our next meeting is, so people are aware, I know there's a cancellation of the December 2nd meeting. It is being moved to the 1st. If anybody wants to play along.
Thank you, Dean. Next, we met with the board liaison committee with the GEA. And feel free to jump in, the people that were there. Talked about special ed, the caseloads, and the number of hours special ed support a week. They said the teachers need more training on the new special ed state laws. We talked about the data dashboard, and we talked about that the data dashboard should celebrate all growth, show highlights of the district, use for good, not to take info out of context. And we talked about, you could probably use Givers and iReady, but the only apple to apple type of tests are the standardized tests. We talked about class size. The teachers thought the composition of the class is as important as well as the class size. And of course, the class size is in the teacher's contract. We also talked about the number of courses at the high school. They thought there's too many courses at the high school. We should narrow it down a little bit. And we talked about maintenance issues, which go to facilities on Monday. And we would also like to have some input on grants that are going to impact them. And I mean, Jay and Andrea and Dean, they can jump in if I left anything out. No, okay.
I think you
Next
covered it.
is athletic fields. Ian?
Yes, so Athletic Fields met on November 20th as well. I was not able to attend, but I did review the recording. Um, and basically it was just a debrief of the election, the referendum that was voted, and some discussion of moving forward into the future. As far as like the future referendums, ways they could improve their communication to the public, and ways they could continue to maintain collaborative approach with Public Works. I guess the director of Public Works, Greg Hanover, is scheduled to retire at the end of December. So they're anticipating some, you know, a period of transition there as they develop relationships and a cooperative dynamic with a new director coming in, whoever that may be. Um, and the December meeting for Athletic Fields was preemptively canceled because it falls within the holiday season. That's it.
Okay. That's it. Thank you. Next is Learn. Learn met on November 13th, and we had legislative updates from paid executive director and general counsel, Patrice McCarthy. We approved some grants. We accepted the air quality reports, and we got a report from Dr. Linda Darcy. She's the Learn Teaching and Learning, and she gave us a presentation on designing products for these solutions. And that was it for learning. Okay. Next on our agenda is the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
So moved.
Do I have a motion? Okay, Dean, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Zach, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about the consent calendar? The only thing I thought was missing was the meeting on November 10th. We have it for a special meeting, the two special, we don't have minutes for the regular meeting. And I'd like to thank Matthew Schumann for donating $50 to the Groton Public School Mentor Program. Thank you, Matthew. I know that program is near and dear to your heart. Any other comments or questions to consent account agenda? Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
And raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. 9 in favor, 0 to 0. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a discussion of possible action regarding approval policy P5113, attendance at the second reading. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion. Who's that?
Sean.
Sure. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Andrea. Okay. All right. Anne-Marie, do you want to explain this policy? I know you worked hard on it.
I did. I don't want to take all the credit. As I have explained before, I assembled a team this summer of administrators to look at revising our policy and our regulations, as well as our tiered interventions. We looked at the CABE model policy, as well as policies from across the state to look at this policy. When we brought it forward for first read, I know that there were some, we wanted to clean up the policy, that the draft. Dr. Ackerman put her very ample skills to work, cleaned it up for us. I feel like it's in great shape right now. We wanted this policy to not only reflect the state, current state regulations, or the some of the statutes in terms of the updates that were made in terms of mental health days, military students, but we wanted it also to our former policy, which had last been updated in 2018, kind of read like a regulation, and we wanted it to be more like reflective of a policy. Again, we did update our regulations. We also updated our tiered interventions. We have worked very hard on this policy, as well as our whole attendance initiative this year. And I'm excited to say that as a result of that, and I know it's very early on, but as 45 days in, we have seen already a significant reduction in chronic absenteeism. Fingers crossed, the remaining 3/4 of the year, we will continue to see that reduction, and we will see some improved results, because we know when students are in school, they are more likely to learn.
Any about this policy? 3. Okay, all those in favor of approving policy P5113, say aye.
I'm sorry, I had a little interruption there, but yes, I didn't have anything further to comment.
Okay.
I'm all in.
I'm in the middle of voting. I'm sorry.
I said I'm
All
in
those
favor. Aye.
Okay, aye.
Yeah,
Opposed?
aye.
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 Aye. Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, that policy passes. Thank you very much. Next is discussion and possible action regarding approval of policy P6131 .3273/4118.53 generative artificial intelligence as a second reading to attach 10. I have a motion to approve policy.
So moved.
So move and have a second. Do I have a second approving policy P6131.3273?
Second, Thomas.
Second. Okay, discussion. Who wants to discuss the policy? Susan, Ian?
I'll jump in and just say that this is Clint and his people took what our notes on the last discussion and basically consolidated the policy part to the policy, the P document, and then created the R's, the regulation, in accordance with what had been shifted towards regulation. So a lot of the more granular stuff and the language that had to do with constructing the committee, we basically kind of split the baby, so to speak, by saying that, the board requests the superintendent or designate to establish a committee in the policy side, and then on the regulation side, it says the superintendent will. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Will establish a district AI advisory committee, and the committee would be specifically focused on managing the AI policy ongoing. And as was noted in discussions in the previous board meetings and also in the committee meetings, we all anticipate that this is going to be a frequent revisiting, maybe even annually, where we update the AI policy based on current assessments of what's going on. Thank you.
No, thank you. Dean?
Yeah, thanks. My question is, I don't recall clearly. Was this one of these occasions when we last had this in front of us? Was this one of those occasions where there was so many questions about it that it was actually withdrawn as a first reading and it would come back to us as a, if you will, a second first reading? So I guess, is this properly a second reading or is this a new first reading? Maybe it's a difference without or distinction without a difference. I don't know.
To my understanding, it was my understanding that it had been pushed back to the policy committee, so it would be like a second time first read, as unique a situation as that may be. However, I got an email from some staff saying that they believed that it was that this would count as a second read. So I think it could be a distinction without a difference, as you noted, Dean. Um, and I would defer to the chair and the board as far as like, you know, and maybe it would take a suspension of the rules just to be safe. If we wanted to pass it tonight as a second read, to be sure that we dot all i's and cross all t's. But to whatever end it's of value, I think we're in a good space with this document as it stands. I'm okay with if people want to give it notes and send it back to the committee as a proper second read. But I do know that Clint and the IT team are eager to have something in place that they can use as a guideline to start instituting what needs to be done as far as how AI is managed within the district.
Yeah, I want to be practical about it too. I mean, if it's a practical matter, people are more or less fine with this and with the representation that we'll be back at it a number of times, more, higher than average with the usual policy, then um, yeah, I don't want to, choose form over function. Um,
In the agenda, it does state that it is a second reading. Joyce is usually pretty astute, Joyce and Joan, on that, but
Well, that's because the last time that was up, it was written in as a first reading. But as I said, my memory is that, and I could be wrong, that this was one of those where it was withdrawn. So we didn't actually have a technical first reading. Now, again, that may not qualify. In other words, the withdrawal of a quote first reading is still a first reading. It may be a massive edit or a massive request or a massive rebellion, if you will, against the first reading. But no matter what happened, it counts as a first reading, whether we like it or not, because it's already come up once.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go to Mike because he had his hands up.
Yes, thank you. Actually, when this AI policy came up, I was thinking, like others, that my goodness, we're going to be revisiting this every year at least. But I think this policy, along with the regulations, the demarcation was very effective. That while the regulations probably will change very quickly, the policy seems like it could last a little bit. So I think the most important thing is that as that GAI committee meets, that it reports out regularly to the board, and if there were major regulation changes. Um, and Dean, thank you for bringing up the that process. Um, I would suggest if there is any real question on that we could certainly. This doesn't seem like we need this in right away. So if there's any question that people are uneasy about, it seems like we could definitely approve a first reading tonight and just have it come back through the next time. I'm fine, I guess, either way, unless it's setting some kind of precedent that we could do a first and second reading in one meeting, which and use that as general practice, which I would not be uncomfortable with. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Um, Adrian,
Um, yeah, so we had talked about this a couple of months ago, but in the last paragraph on the first page, the section that's read it out, or that's lined through with red, the Board of Education suggests that the committee be comprised of administrators, teaching staff, parents, and board members who will seek guidance from the district as necessary. I still believe that that should be in this policy. I know that there's referral to it in regulation, but the regulation we have no control over. I mean that the regulation could change the day after that we we approve this policy. Not that I think that that will happen. I mean, the regulation does stand for something, but I believe it's important to include that just so that we have a little tighter guardrails on this policy, just because it is so significant and it is affecting like everyone in our district, the students and teachers. So I'll listen to hear other comments on that for now. Thank you.
Dr. A.
That is exactly the paragraph I wanted. I I brought this up at the meeting, and they said, "Well, it's going." I didn't expect this to be a second reading, so the committee said, "Well, it's going to the board for a first reading anyway. Tell them then." So my concerns are still that this does not belong in the policy, the designation of a committee and all that sort of thing. That belongs in regulations. So I'm opposed to that entire paragraph. And I believe that that it has to go in regulations. It's not a policy, it's a regulation.
Okay, thank you, Dr. A. Anne Marie.
So I just want to speak to, I want to respect the process, whether it's a first read or second read, but I do want to speak to the urgency around this. And, Clint has been, everyone is really talking about the importance of this work. And Clint has a committee, or at least has some members of the committee in terms of the educators who really want to start to get after this. And certainly Clint has a plan for some of the work that he wants to do. But right now we're kind of held up really because we can't do anything until this policy takes like the next step, whether it be, it's adopted, moves forward, whatever term we want to use for it. And I know that it seems to me that the board recognizes the importance of this policy, but we really have been kind of put in, we really can't move forward because of, it seems like we're being held up really because of this one paragraph. And I'm not saying it's not important, but if we really do believe this work is important, I think we have to come to some kind of compromise about this particular piece. So, and then I guess eventually too, or today, whether this is a first read or second read. But I do want to speak to the urgency. We do want to move forward and start to address the work around AI. And we have some preliminary ideas and certainly some people identified for the committee, but we can't get to that if we're still going to get hung up on these types of things.
Okay.
Bev? I was just looking at the minutes for the August meeting. That was the first reading. The September 22nd meeting was the second reading, and that's the one that failed. So this would be a legitimate second reading.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Ian.
Thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that in principle, I support what Adrian said. I think there is a place for us to put some specificity in the policy as to what sort of committee we'd like to see that made up. However, at this point, if the policy committee, is going to do that, we would need a vote from the board directing us to put that specific language in there. Or we do the edit live tonight and vote on it as such, as amended. My concern is that I do appreciate the fact that there are things that got to get done. There's the regulations have to get in place. And this is going to be a living document. So it could be a thing if we're not satisfied with the shape of what the committee takes in the next year or so. This could come back before the board and adjustments could be made. So I'm trying to find a decent middle way forward here. Um, so if there are people that feel strongly about that language being in the policy side of this document, then I would say make the motion and we'll see if there's a second and we'll have the discussion and vote whether or not we want to put that language in tonight and pass it as a second read. That would be the most efficient thing to do, I think, in order just to kind of move this along one way or the other. Or failing that, we just kind of pass it as it stands now as a second read, put it in place, watch how it unfolds over the next year. And if it needs to be pulled back into policy for a revision, we can do that in the future. Thank you.
Andrea, something else, have a hand up.
Did you
You're
call on
called.
me? Did you call on me, Bev,
Okay.
Beverly?
It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Beverly, I'm voting, I recognize the urgency of this. I'm voting for it no matter what. Um, and Ian is exactly right. We can come back and look at it later. I was just saying what the policy committee said to me, and I did what they told me to do, and I'm voting for it. So that's that.
all right, anyone else?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So given that discussion, this just goes back to something that like we just passed a cell phone policy and then some regulations had changed shortly after that in one of the schools. And I went back and read the cell phone policy, and there was really no teeth in it. And the regulations that didn't really make a lot of sense. Were fine with the policy and would have the regulations would or the policy wouldn't have done anything to change what had happened. And it turns out that that was a mistake or maybe a miscommunication in the regulation change. But I'm concerned about that with this policy. So at this point, I think I'm just going to make the motion um, to amend the policy and specifically to add back in the language in the last paragraph of the first page, um, to say the Board of Education, parentheses, board, or suggests that the committee be comprised of administrators, teaching staff, parents, and board members that, in parentheses, who will seek guidance from district council as necessary.
Okay. Do I have a second on that amendment?
Second, Thomas.
Okay.
I would just ask, Adrian, do you have that typed out by chance? Would you be able to put that up in the chat so I could just pull the language over?
Um, yeah, it's basically the second. It's to reinstate the second sentence in the last paragraph.
Even though I'm not in favor of telling this to, I think that that sentence should be in regulation. The only thing that helps me out is it says suggest. And that's only a suggestion. She doesn't have to do it. He or she doesn't have to do it. But I'm not in favor of putting something that I think should be in regulations into policy. Do you want to vote anything else, or do you want to vote on the amendment? We have the amendment that says the board that wants to add the Board of Education, board suggests the committee be comprised of administrators, teacher staff, parents, and board members that, in parentheses, who will seek guidance from district council as necessary. That's the amendment. I'll have to take a vote. All those in favor of the amendment, I'll take a roll call vote. It's easier for me. Adrian?
Yes, I'm in favor.
You're Adrian? Okay, Ian is in favor. Adrian?
Yes, I'm in favor.
And um, Dean?
I'm sorry, who?
Amendment,
Oh,
the
me?
amendment? No,
Me, no,
Jean,
I'm not in. Me, Jen, or Jay?
Jean. Can you all hear me?
Well, you're
You're
broken up.
muffled. You're
Okay.
muffled sometimes.
Okay, I'm going on Dean.
I'm in favor.
Okay, yes, Dean. Okay, Jean, go ahead. Jen,
Oh, me, no, I'm not.
Beverly, I don't know if you see my hand.
no, just going down the.
Okay.
You vote, go ahead. Are you in favor of the amendment?
Well, I I, I wonder if Adrian could read it again, his if Adrian could read his amendment again.
Yeah. So I would like to make a motion to, I would like to amend the motion to reinstate the sentence. This would be from the first read. The Board of Education Board suggests the committee be comprised of administrators, teaching staff, parents, and board members that, in
Oh,
parentheses, who will seek guidance from district council as necessary.
my question then is, I don't know why we're for expediency. I said I was going to vote for this, but I don't know why we just don't say a committee will be established or a committee will um, do all those things that you said it was going to do, and that can go in policy. That's fine, but I'm still upset with the idea of designating the or requesting the superintendent to do it. Just say that the committee's going to be
Dr.
going to do those things.
Dr. A, this is a
Point of
vote
order,
to
point of
vote
order.
on
We are in the middle of a roll call vote.
Dr.
It's
A,
legitimate to
vote.
ask for a
And I
clarification of the
got this,
vote.
and I got it. You can
Okay.
vote or no.
Say that again. Are you
We're
asking
taking
me
a
if I?
vote, so either.
Then I'm going to vote no. No, I'm going to vote no in that case
Okay,
because I think we have enough people.
okay. Jay,
No.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
no, and passes. Okay, so now let's take a vote on the motion on the policy as amended. I'll go down once again. This is yes or no, no discussion. Yes, Adrian, yes or no for the policy as amended.
Yes.
Um, Dr. A,
No.
Jean,
Yes.
Ian,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Jen, Jen,
Oh, me? No.
Mike,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
and myself. Be a yes to get it going. Okay.
Bev,
Amended.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Item is new business, discussion and possible action regarding FY 26 budget transfers between functions in the amount of $636,402. And
Oh,
could I have a note?
never mind. I'll deal with it later.
Yeah,
Sorry, Bev, we're just having a hard time understanding what you're saying. Your mic is very muffled and fuzzy, and there's a
you know
lot of
what?
distortion.
Okay.
Did we lose Bev?
We lost Bev, yeah.
What was the final vote?
Adrian, do you want to step in as vice for a minute and just give us a tally of the final vote? Did you happen to catch it, what it was?
No, I wasn't keeping track. I apologize.
Adrian, if it's okay, I think Joan should note compromised as comprised.
For both motions or just the one?
Everywhere that compromise might appear, it should be comprised. I don't think we want a compromised committee.
Agreed, 100%.
Okay,
Thank you.
Well said.
got it.
Thank you.
And if everyone could tell me, how did Bev vote on each motion? The amendment and the main motion as amended, because I really didn't hear it.
Hmm.
I know the second
Anybody
one
else?
was a yes. I'm not sure on the first one.
Okay,
Yeah, I can't recall.
I think
I'll
she
put
was
it.
yes on both, because I think the first time around it was Dr. Ackerman, myself, and Jay who voted against. And then the second time around, it was just Dr. Ackerman and myself who were against. And I think Jay said
Thank you,
yes.
Jen. I appreciate that.
I think you're right,
Welcome.
Jen.
Yeah, I believe Bev was in favor on both times around as well.
I think she's back on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Much
Okay.
better.
All right. But did Joan have a question?
We were just trying to run the tally of the vote, and she was asking if you had voted yes for both the amendment and the amended motion.
I voted yes for the amendment, no for the amendment, and yes for the policy as amended.
Understood. And could I just
Okay.
ask for a tally? You had the tally as far as like
7 yes, 2 no's. Policy as amended. 7 yes and 2 no's. The 2 no's was Dr. A and Jen. The others voted yes.
very well. Thank
Jen,
you.
thank you.
Anytime, Joan. And do you have for the amendment? What vote was for
Yes,
the
I
amendment?
got it. I got it.
Okay. Any questions? Just give me a call. All right, the next item under new business is to approve the FY26 budget transfers between functions in the amount of $636,402. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved, Thomas.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second, Bev.
Okay, thank you, Sean. All right, discussion on Ian, can you take that down for me, please? Thank you. Is Rita still on?
No.
Nope, hasn't been on for a while.
Okay. Well, we heard Rita's discussion on the transfer. Any questions? Any questions?
Nope, I think we asked them all.
Nope. Okay. All those in favor of approving the FY26 budget transfers between functions in the amount of $636,402, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, approved. All right, that's approved. The next item is discussion and possible action regarding approval of policy P6141 curriculum design / development as a first reading. Do I have a motion to approve that policy as a first reading?
So moved.
Adrian, second.
Second, Tom.
Second. Okay, Dr. Mancini, do you want to walk us through this policy?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So I've been working with the curriculum committee, the board's curriculum committee, to make a revision to this policy. The first revision here is a revision that we made simply because the committee of the whole, we generally do not vote at committee of the whole. I think this was something that was a holdover from a while ago. I think in maybe previous years that was something that was done, but at least since I've become a part of Groton Public Schools, we no longer have votes during committee of the whole. So in number 3 here, we made a change that that when we bring curriculum forward, we change that that it's going to the full board instead of to the committee of the whole. And then finally, in step 5, we've actually eliminated step 5 in an effort to streamline the process a little bit. Instead of going back to the curriculum subcommittee or the board curriculum committee, it would skip that process because when you have a new course, it actually goes to the curriculum committee at one point during the process. Instead, the final review would go to the full board for final approval.
Okay. Any questions? Ian, do you want to add anything?
I just have a question for Anne Marie.
Wait 1 second. Ian, do you want to add anything?
No, actually, I was going to defer to Adrian anyway, because he was, this came from the curriculum committee. We made no changes in policy. Curriculum went through it a few times, so I defer to him for any further.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, Anne Marie. So online, under 3, presented to the full board for approval of drafting a curriculum.
Mhm.
I was under the impression after that meeting that it was going to be the curriculum committee that would approve drafting the curriculum. I mean, I understand the reason to have it full board, but I thought it was the committee that we had talked about. And
Yeah, that's never been part of the process, Adrian. It's always been the first 2 steps. The curriculum committee goes for review and recommendation. That's, we didn't make any revisions there. Then it's brought to, again, it was always brought previously to the committee of the whole. We made the change to the full board just because, again, the process of voting, the committee of the whole, there's no vote there. And so this is the existing process with that minor change. And then the curriculum is written, and then it would go to the full board for final approval.
all right. I mean, I don't disagree with this process. I that's just different than my memory, but that fails me sometimes. So thank you.
Mhm.
And there's
Okay,
an
any
empty
other,
flow chart on the
any
back.
other? Did you have your hand up, Susan?
I just said there's a nice little flow chart on the back.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I do. My hand is up.
Go ahead, Dr. A.
Um, uh, my memory is like Adrian's. I guess what I just wanted to clarify was that now that I'm thinking about it, is that when we don't vote on it at the curriculum committee. However, now that I'm thinking about it, we vote to send it to the board, which means that we approved it. Am I understanding that correctly, Anne Marie?
Dr. Ackerman, there is no, so again, I never made I have not made any changes to that part of the process, but I appreciate asking that question. I think where the confusion is, for example, the last time we brought a course forward, there, I think I asked for approval technically, and according to the process, there was no approval that's necessary. It's brought forward for review and recommendation. And then based on that review, it's then, as a part of that process, then brought forward to the full board. So that was my misunderstanding of the process. But these first 3 steps, actually the first 4 here, have not been changed at all.
Okay, so I'm just clarifying. So in my mind, when we say we're going to send it to the full board for a vote, that means that it went through us and we're satisfied with it. And we're so satisfied with it we're going to send it to the full board, fully expecting that they will approve it.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
at that point, I'm hoping that, of course, I've done my myself, it says here, myself, or would be Susan in this case, we've done our due diligence in making sure that, we've brought forward a quality product to
Okay.
you. Now, again, sometimes, things happen, but I'm hoping that, when a course is brought forward to me, I've done my due diligence in making sure that it's been well prepared, that there are no holes. Sometimes you're going to ask questions, and maybe there's more exploration that needs to be done. And that will be part of the review process. If we feel during that process that it's not ready to go to the full board, then we wouldn't bring it forward to the full board.
It's
Okay,
review and recommendation. I think that's really important too, Andrea. When it goes to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. And there was a course this year that I believe that we didn't move forward because based on the review and the recommendation process, we recommended that we not move it forward, that it wait a year.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I
Now,
did
what
have
is
a comment and a question.
okay? See hand, so go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to circle back. So I
There we go.
believe like this process is similar to like how the policy committee, will pass something as a first read, but the board ultimately has the big thumbs up or down. But Adrian, you were saying that you feel like there's and Andrea too, as you feel like there's something different in here, or does this basically correspond to your understanding of what the process should be?
No, yes, I'm good with it.
You're good with it. And Adrian, how are you with this?
Yes, I'm good with it. It's just different than I remembered from the meeting. But what's written out here, I support.
Okay, very well then.
Yeah.
All right. If you
Okay.
and who else is on the curriculum committee? I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now.
That would be me, Mike Whitney.
All right,
I
and
have
how
my
are
hand
you?
up, by the way.
And he has his hand up. So are you done, Ian? I'll be calling Mike.
Well, I was curious to hear what he was going to say anyway. So
Okay. Are you done?
yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Mike?
Thanks. Yeah, so it was presented to us and we did discuss it. Of course, that had to go to the policy committee. One question would be like often when we approve policies, we also see like the changes to the regulations. And so in this case, there is the flow chart, I think that's part of the regulation, but maybe the handbook is too. So that's one thing. Me personally, I'd like to discuss that number 5 point more, that we're crossing out, going back to the curriculum committee for review. And Emery, you mentioned that, well, if a new course is proposed, we have to approve it anyway. But then when I go to that flow chart, which is on the next page, it's part of the regulation, not the policy. It just I don't see that in there. I don't see that step in there. About like when we're approving the course, other than the first time the board approved the writing of a curriculum.
So I didn't make the revision to this flow chart. I have to say, I think Erica did. But if it is eliminated from 5, it wouldn't be reflected on this part of the chart, but it could just be an error. I'd have to go back and work with Erica on that. It should be reflected in this first part.
So where would the course approval?
The course approval would go in the beginning in this first part of the chart. When it goes forward, with the, if you look at in the beginning steps, let me see here, board curriculum. I don't know. I really can't see that chart, to be honest with you. It's really hard for me to read. Thank you. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
What's highlighted for review and recommendation? See, that's what's highlighted in blue.
Yes, thank you. But that lookbook the curriculum committee is entirely before the curriculum's written. I really think the
Yes, that's
curriculum
before
committee.
that's before the curriculum is written.
Yeah, so my personal view as the committee member is I'd like to see the results of that and have our read on it before it goes and review of it before it goes to the board for approval. Um, I think ultimately that would save time.
So that's the process right now as it exists. And I think that's, kind of what I presented to the curriculum committee before it even went to the policy committee. But maybe I was not clear about that. I thought I was, that
Oh,
that's the step that we had, that I'm proposing revising.
you certainly were very clear about it, but as a curriculum committee, we are not in the we do not get to vote on the policy before it goes to the whole board. So I had a differing opinion on that. We did discuss it, but I still have that differing opinion, and so
Okay.
I'm just saying it now. Um, yeah, and I think part of the approach here is that we want to process it streamlined so that reasonably something could get presented in, say, September or maybe October, and then have the curriculum um, written over the following summer.
Right.
Um,
So right now, and I do want to emphasize this, and I understand why there are guidelines or guardrails in place. But right now, it is close to, it's an 18-month process. So in theory, if we have a course that the middle school or the high school wants to propose, it basically will be 2 years before that course is put in place for students. And I do believe that, respectfully, that's a problem.
Yeah, and I guess I won't have a back and forth much, but
Yeah.
so my understanding, though, I think, is a lot of the curriculum often is written during the summer. Maybe I'm incorrect on that.
Not necessarily.
But if it's written during the summer, then that course by nature wouldn't come to be offered the next year. I mean, where I work, I am accustomed to the 2-year timeline, I must say, because it gets approved from one academic year and then it comes in the next. So it might be 2 years or 18 months. So that's not unusual to me, just because of the realities of when people have time to write things and the
Mhm.
layers of approval it goes through. I do know that we do get kind of rush, um, like, oh, this needs to be approved,
Sure.
and like those kind of filter in after October, for instance, right? And so there's some of that timing too. But um, so is the curriculum no longer going to be written during the summer? Because
No,
if
it really depends on the
yeah.
course. So, for example, we know that Mr. Morth, for example, came forward with a course to us, or actually it was a revision, but it was a major revision, right? So we categorized it as a new course because it was such a major revision. Now, he and one of his colleagues are writing it because we have significant time this winter break. They're going to be writing it during the winter break. Now, that doesn't happen all the time, but that was something that they asked because they wanted to put a course in place next year. And they believe that as a part of our process, they might be able to, especially if we're able to revise the process this year, they might be able to get that course, written, and then through our revised process, and then offer that course next year. And that's I believe it's the IB Personal and Professional Skills course.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. Anything else? So what are you suggesting, Mike?
Well, just for me, I'd suggest keeping in number 5, because that curriculum committee meeting, as long as it's happening during the school year when the teachers are present, I don't see that as delaying the process. I guess at most a month, but it could be just a matter of weeks if it precedes the next BOE regular meeting. And I think it could make that process go more smoothly. There is a issue if, like, basically the summer months, it's hard to present new curriculum to the board, or like the finished curriculum to the board, because the people that have developed it often are on summer vacation. So it is a tight timeline, like getting it done in May or June, for instance. But I just don't think having the curriculum committee still in at close to the finish line adds much time.
Adrian?
Yeah, let me, since this is my memory, which I think is wrong, but um, how about, or would it, I would be curious to see what people thought about basically eliminating three. So present to the board curriculum subcommittee for review recommendations and approval of drafting. So making two the approval to drafting. That way it only comes to the board once at the end. The problems with that is that the board wouldn't be voting on it at the onset of the curriculum. They would basically just get a shot to shoot it up or down after we've written the curriculum. It's not incredibly expensive to write a curriculum, but it probably would be I guess frustrating to the staff to do it to reject a curriculum after it was written. It would probably be upsetting to staff, so I'd want to be cognitive of that possibility. But that was actually what I thought from my memory, which this is a couple of months ago now. So, but I'd be curious to see what others thought of that.
No, I would be keeping three in. I thought you would be voting on the approval of drafting a curriculum. Anne Marie?
I see the dean has his hand up, but then I'll let him go, and then I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, Dean.
Oh, yeah, real quick. I was going to say an answer to Adrian. Yeah, just we don't have a policy on this, or but maybe we should do like policy, have a first and second reading, or effectively have a first and second reading on curriculum.
Well, this policy is a first reading right here, Dean.
No,
Oh, you're saying the first and second
is with
reading of
respect
curriculum.
with respect to
Okay.
curriculum. I mean,
That's
to
I get
address
it.
Adrian's concern,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the if the board has reason to want a first shot and last shot at a policy, first and second reading, then maybe
Mm-hmm.
we should have something like that for curriculum as well.
You
Somehow that
actually do
works
with
in.
3 and 6. You are
Right.
approving it to move forward to draft, and then you're doing a final approval. So you really do
Yeah,
have that
yeah.
two-step.
Right. Yeah, that's that there. So I'd be in favor of keeping 3 and 6.
Yeah, I'm in favor of keeping 3 and 6. Dr. Mancini?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly respect the decision of this board, but I think where I'm a little bit frustrated is, several months ago, I brought this forward to the curriculum committee. They were in support. And so now I'm confused by the fact that some of the members don't remember what we talked about. I certainly did not make any changes from the time that we discussed this as a committee to now. Everything has been the same. So I'm kind of confused by that. Ultimately, I mean, I'm going to honor as the decision that this board makes. But I am trying to do the best for the students and for the teachers. This is something that was brought to me by our staff, that this process needs to be revised because it's held up progress. And so, yeah, I think I'm a little bit frustrated, if I can speak honestly, in terms of, this getting held up. Yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say about that.
All right, Dr. A, and then Mike, and then let's move on and take a vote.
Yeah,
on the
okay.
policy.
Yeah. No, I brought some history saying that some of the board members in the past were saying, why on earth am I sitting through this twice? So, and my question was simply about my own memory of this. So I'm voting for it. So, but I just wanted to clear that up. I said I was always voting for the last one too, but I am voting for this one.
Mike.
Thanks. I do have a good memory of the meeting, and one part of important part is and I'll say it again, the curriculum committee could we could talk about this, but we couldn't vote on it. It has to go to the policy committee. And so by definition, the curriculum committee couldn't agree or disagree to anything really. We could discuss points about it. And I think that number 5 for me is essential in some form. And then in terms of the timeline, the course you mentioned, the IB personal and professional skills. If that curriculum is developed over winter break, I can see that timeline neatly folding in within a year. I don't, however, see us being able. It's been brought up that we're going to have a robotics course that's going to seek approval and to be offered the next school year, the 2026-2027 school year. I don't see that happening at this point, and that's not because of this process we're talking about. It's the timing. It's the timing of the introduction of like the starting of the process, and anything that's written over the summer, um, I just couldn't possibly, I think, be introduced by that following school year, which would be like a couple of weeks or a month later.
Mike, can I just add something? Not all our courses are written. Like our Project Lead the Way, some of our IB, AP courses, those are an ECE, those are all kind of delivered to us because they have parameters that have to be done. So even with the first robotics, which is the group that our robotics team is with, they actually have a curriculum. So there's already developed curriculums that we can take a look at that don't need the process of going out to write it because it's already been written.
Hey, Susan, can you do me a favor? Can you raise your hand like everybody else? I know this is intended, but can you just raise your
I've
hand?
been very quiet and I'm not feeling real good. I'm very sick, so I'm
I'm
just
just
hanging in
asking
there.
politely if you could
Yes.
raise your hand like
Yes.
everyone else. Okay. Go ahead, Mike. You finished?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Jen.
I don't know if this is possible, um, but, and I'm not part of either of the two committees, right? But maybe when it's brought up for voting, and I know they can't take an official vote at the committee level, but on our agenda, I've seen this somewhere where it says the committee recommends in favor of voting for this, or the committee recommends not in favor of voting for this, because if there's a general agreement at the committee level, we should know what it is rather than like a hijack's not the right word, but getting the rest. Once it's presented, then getting something, trying to get like all of the votes rechanged. So I don't know if that's possible. It's just a thought.
Okay. For myself,
Bev, you know how I feel about it. Like every time I feel like we're going through like something like this, like we listen to it, then there's agreements, disagreements, and then we send it back. And really it should be decided upon how that recommendation is going to go forward rather than all of us having to listen um, and get things restated. Sorry. It's more of an opinion rather than a comment to the process.
well, this is a first reading. So this is going to go back to the policy committee anyway. And as for myself, if this is what Dr. Mancini is asking for, and she thinks this is the best for the district and for the students, and the staff would like to have it this way, I'm in favor of the policy.
And I agree with that. That's why I'm just saying, like, it's very frustrating that as a person, regardless if it's our assistant superintendent or the chair or whomever is bringing it forward, if you think you have your committee supporting you and then you come in here and then it gets derailed, it's not fair because I don't know how long they spent on it, right? It's not fair to the people on the committee who put their time in, and it's not fair for the rest of the board.
All right, thank you, Jen. Let's take a vote so we can move on. I'll do a roll call vote, and this way I'll have the vote for the numbers for sure. It's going to be a yes for the policy or no. Yes to move it. Yes to approve it for first reading or no. Adrian.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. A.
Yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
Mike.
No.
Jay.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ian.
I'm just gonna abstain on this one from it. Yeah.
Okay. Dean.
Yes.
Okay. It goes back for a second reading. All right, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is
Comment, Bev, sorry, just
what
point.
happened?
Well, since it's coming back for a second read to the policy committee, is that correct?
Because
All
this
right,
was the
so
first reading.
Yep, understood. So I just would ask anyone that has any specific edits that they'd like to have discussed to send those to me so that I can adjudicate it clearly. Thank you.
Everybody heard? Ian would like, if you have any edits, please send it back. Send it to him so they can discuss it at curriculum, and then we won't have all this discussion when it comes back to board, as Jen has stated. It should be cleaned up in curriculum. All right, the next item is
Bev, you mean policy?
Excuse me?
I think you mean policy.
Yeah, policy, right. Okay. But I think the curriculum people had a say in this too, because Adrian's in curriculum. He's not on policy. So I don't know if you curriculum people had a say on this or not, but I'm moving on from here. Discussion and possible action regarding approval of policy P6146, graduation requirements as a first reading. That's attachment 12. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Is that you, Sean?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Anne Marie.
Yeah, thanks again for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. I want to be very clear that this policy was also brought forward to curriculum, and it was discussed in depth. Then it was brought forward to policy, and specifically, I think this was generated maybe from a full board meeting. The topic or the need to look at our graduation requirements. I think that was sometime last spring. And the need arose out of the fact that currently Fitch High School has 27 credits for graduation that are required, while the State Department of Ed requires 25. And doing some additional research, we learned that currently the ESSA milestone for Fitch is, I believe, 80 or 91%. That's the milestone they need to hit for four-year graduation. And the milestone that they reached was 88.9%. So we're not meeting our targeted graduation rate. And we looked into that, and I worked with the high school team to look into that. We found that the majority of the students that are not meeting the graduate or that are not graduating are failing classes related to world language, Now that's common for students that have special needs often struggle with world language classes. And so one of the recommendations that we are making in terms of the reduction in graduation requirements is to go from 2.0 credits in world language down to 1.0 credits. And then we also noticed that Fitch has an additional elective credit that's recommended. And so we are recommending that Fitch reduce its elective credits from 4.0 to 3.0. And again, I want to make sure that I emphasize that this was brought to curriculum first, reviewed with them. We actually talked about several different options, ultimately came to those two recommendations, and then I brought it forward to policy just actually a couple of days ago, reviewed these recommendations, and now here we are.
Okay. Mike, you have your hand up? No. Okay. Any questions? Ian, did you want to add anything? Or you all set? Nope. Any questions? I just have one question. It's on page number 6. Wait, let me see. Yeah, page number 6 for credits. Yes. And it says
the document, but go ahead and ask me about it, and I'll find page number 6 in the document.
Okay, so it says equivalent to 120 total hours, and the 200 minutes are crossed out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the next page, you keep the 200 minutes in on the third paragraph down.
That probably should be an edit that we made, probably just an oversight on my part.
Okay, I just was wondering.
Thank you for catching that.
Okay. Mike, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
I was just wondering in the policy committee, so I'm supportive of reducing the credits. The one thing that I was wondering about is if we could speed up the timeline, and we discussed it in curriculum committee. And I won't go through that, but this timeline you're getting is actually, I think, the best representation of what the high school team's looking for. But I was wondering if that discussion was had in policy, because there's some urgency, I think, towards improving graduation rates, but this reduction in credits really doesn't come in. I think, I can't remember, graduating class maybe of 2029.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that discussion was had.
Yeah, we did not talk about that in we did for briefly. We talked about why it was the class of 2029, and thanks again for bringing that up. The reason why we didn't kind of apply this to other classes is because those classes are within their program of study. And so I know one of the things that we talked about, and I can't remember if it was during curriculum or in another meeting, but this has been brought up previously, is there was some concern about students graduating early. And so if we were to change, for example, with the current juniors or sophomores, and changed, like, these students have already maybe met their world language requirement or met another requirement, and we were to make changes, those students may be able to graduate early, or it may impact their program of studies in another way. And so the best thing to do usually, and again, I've seen this, I've certainly been part of other districts where we've made changes to graduation requirements. You usually don't make those changes unless you're making them to the freshman class, or usually the incoming class, like 8th graders that are going to be coming into the high school. Just because, again, the students are into their program of studies, they've started accumulating their credits, and it messes things up, basically.
Thank you. I just want to kind of draw that out, because it's a positive change that we're looking for. It's going to have some time to occur, but that's to avoid negative unintended consequences that were easily foreseeable by you all.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Ian?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to kind of echo what Mike was saying first off, and what Anne Marie was saying. Yeah, we did discuss it briefly, and it's basically like a phased out approach, so that everyone can follow similar track lines. Um, the one question this has occurred to me, and I apologize. I kind of talked about it a little bit during policy committee, but I didn't really kind of land someplace with it. But reducing the world language requirements, there are still some colleges that require um, a certain amount of world language in order to get um, to not have to take classes on a college level in world language. Like the college I went to way back when was 3 years. If you had 3 years in high school, you didn't have to take any in college. Now I know a lot of those standards have changed, and a lot of it's school by school basis. And this may not be a thing that goes into policy, but just I wanted to kind of throw it out there for people to think about how to approach it is like, how do we make sure that parents and students are fully aware that they have to do their own due diligence in regards to making sure that if they don't want to take foreign language in college, they have to verify with the colleges that they're looking to apply to, or they have to kind of do some forward thinking on those requirements if they want to try to avoid that. So I just want to kind of throw that out there as a nugget. Thank you.
And maybe could it be like, is it like most colleges require 3 years of foreign languages?
So
So
most
that
colleges
if
do not require it, they recommend it. So just until a couple of years ago, the State Department of Ed didn't even require a world language as a credit. That was all kind of electives. This year, it's just in the last couple of years that they're requiring a 1.0 credit in world language. Again, it's highly recommended from colleges that students take world language, but this is not something that has been required until recently. We want students to take world language, of course, but I think that colleges do recognize that a lot of students struggle with world language instruction, especially those students with special needs. And I think that's why the State Department of Ed has always hesitated to require world language instruction.
Dean?
Yeah, I was going to say that, echoing what Ian said, or jumping off of that one. Um, yeah, I don't have a problem with having a minimum of one credit for the world language. I would like to think that students who are college bound will do some advanced planning. It's true that some may not figure that out until maybe later, but they have, I think, at that point, if they don't figure out that they're going to go to college by their junior or senior year, they probably have other things that they have to wrap up or problems that they have to deal with other than, oops, I only took 1 year of a world language. I know my oldest got bitten by that. He took as little as possible. I don't remember what he took. He took Spanish in high school, but apparently not enough. So when he went to for his undergrad degree, he had to take 1 more year of Spanish, and that actually made the difference because he was a freshman, made the difference between he would have been summa cum laude, but he wound up being magna cum laude because he figured, it's just Spanish. So he got B's.
And this is where we have to really work with our counselors and make sure our counselors are educating our students and our families
Right.
properly.
Yeah, right.
All right. Anything else, Dean?
That's enough.
All right, Adrian?
Yeah, just on the foreign language thing, and this kind of goes in again to, like offering ASL to anywhere the need or the desire for it. Because some kids, and I'll say this for myself, when I went through foreign language in high school, have a really difficult time with it. Their brains just aren't wired to process language, and some people process it really well. Um, as far as the credits, I agree with going down, but as far as having kids successful in foreign language, I think offering things that they are interested in, um, and that they can be successful in, might help resolve that desire to have enough foreign language. The one other thing that I was going to say, and I'd kind of brought this up before in the curriculum meeting, but we're making the completion of the MYP personal project one credit. in this. And that right now is a half a credit and it's a pass fail. Um, it's a pass fail, and I think it's going to stay that way. But I had some concerns about that, maybe not being rigorous enough since we're also dropping to 25 credits, but we're adding this personal project. I mean, I'm still supportive of this policy as a whole, but I have some reservations based on that. And then, Anne Marie, maybe you can remind me, but it says completion of the MYP personal project, 1 credit. But since that's only half a credit, where does the other half is
The other
um,
half comes from
Global something.
global citizenship?
yeah,
Yeah, global citizenship. Yeah.
But that's a separate class. Why would that not be listed out separately?
it's not listed there. Don't I have the document? Sorry that I don't have it out in front of me.
I'm just looking
I
at
have
page
it
five.
all outlined here. And of course I don't have it in front of my face.
But if you look at page 5 on 6146, it says,
Hold on a second.
physical education, 1 credit, health and safety education, one
Yeah,
credit,
it should be right here.
completion of the MYP project,
It
1 credit.
says, yeah, global citizenship is the other 0.5.
Yeah, but it's not listed.
It's not listed?
Not in the
No, no. Because I edited my paper.
Yeah, it just says 1 credit completion of the MYP personal project. And I also have a little bit the state requires a capstone project, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we have to call it the MYP project or can't we just call it a personal project? Because I think it was also there was some discussion on whether there was a military and Mike maybe can weigh in on this because I think this was your comment in the committee.
So
That was
so
that.
underneath this, and I don't know what document that you have, but I think the original memo that I created that went to the curriculum committee, and then I don't know what translated in terms of how it moved forward to policy. But if you remember the original document that I created for curriculum, it laid out under mastery experience. The 1.0 is the mastery. And then it's broken down for 0.5 for the personal project, 0.5 for global citizenship, and then underneath it, it says students can take naval science 1 to meet this requirement. And so I'll make sure, again, for whatever reason, I don't have the way it looks in policy, but I will make sure that it's reflected that way in the final version.
Yeah, because in the document that we got in the board packet, it doesn't have that. But I saw
Okay.
that on another document. That's how I knew to write it in on this document because I saw it on another document.
I will work with Erica on that.
Mm.
I just assumed that she kind of took what was written here, so I'll make sure that that translates over accordingly.
Anything else, Adrian?
Yeah, I mean, this is a first read, so we can, we can just take that note, I guess, and just pick some of the stuff. But I would just be interested in just getting rid of the MYP and calling it a personal project, so that there is some flexibility to do something else.
Well, there's flexibility for the naval science students. It's specific to MYP because that's the requirement. That's what students are completing. Is that task?
Yeah, right now it's a credit requirement in the curriculum. But then we're talking about the whole I mean, we're not saying that we're requiring anything else specific like that in this, I don't believe.
All
As
right,
far
well, we get
as a
this
specific
is only a first read, so they can figure it out. Send your suggestions to Ian and they can hash it out in policy. Anyone have it?
Sorry to jump in there, but as policy chair, I just want to kind of make a quick comment about that, if I could.
Well, your policy chair, but raise your hand and be recognized. Go ahead.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I apologize for jumping in.
That's okay.
I'm just gonna say in general, yeah, and also so send those the language that you'd like to see in there, and also if you want to attend the policy committee meeting, we could take one person in at a time if you wanted to speak to the issue during the meeting, as long as we don't go over 4 total Board of Ed members in the meeting. If we only have one guest at a time, we don't break a quorum. So just want to put that out there. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else? All right. All those in favor of approving policy P6146, graduation requirements as the first reading? Jen, Sean, Adrian, raise your hand if you're a yes. That'll be good. Just raise your hand if you're yes. Ian and Dr. A?
I'm sorry, I thought I did it.
Okay. Jay, you still with us, Jay?
Yes, I'm a nay on that.
You're a nay? Okay. Okay, and Mike?
Yes.
Okay, so it passes 8-1 as a first reading. Okay. Next on the agenda is, thank you, Anne Marie. Appreciate all your hard work and developing these policies. You and your team that helped you do it. And we'll see you again when it comes back for a second reading. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne Marie. I'm going to excuse myself too because I'm not feeling good at all.
Okay.
So,
take care of yourself, Susan.
I'll try.
Okay. Next is letters and communications and comments by board members. Ian, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I received a number of communications, some from the Noack Baptist Church, people that we heard from earlier tonight, and also received a letter from the robotics team, which is greatly appreciated. Glad that they're settling into their new home, and I am just also curious to know, as far as the chair, Bev, you were elected to city council as well in the fall. Have you sworn into city council?
I have.
Okay, and you're continuing on. You're going to be swearing in as a chair, as a board member as well.
I haven't decided. Anything else?
That's it for now. Thank you.
Okay. Adrian, you have anything?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to kind of reiterate the support from earlier in the meeting, that we should help distribute food as much as we can as a district, to those in need.
Thank you. Andrea, any letters, communications?
Did you say me?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. The only thing I have is something that I have for Dean, and it's something that we say at the academy when anybody precious is leaving, and that is fair winds and a following sea.
Thank you.
Okay. Jen?
Is this the time to mention that we attended the CABE meeting?
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, we should.
So several members attended the CABE meeting last Friday, and I believe some attended on Saturday. So during that meeting, I sat in on 3 different sessions, one on diversity and communications, another on cybersecurity, and the graduation requirements and how it's 25 credits at other school districts and how they parse it out. So, and I know like other people attended, so they could share what committees are sessions they attended. And if there's any questions or they want further detail, I can go into what notes I took.
Okay. Thank you, Jen. Mike?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I went to the CABE conference on Saturday and attended two sessions, one on special education, one on the Freedom of Information Act. The special education one I found very useful, and it was some members from the state special education task force. We recently have been briefed on new legislation that came out, but one thing I hadn't realized, and they pointed out, was the task force came out with their report, which I knew, but their report had many more and different recommendations from what was approved by the legislature. So it's a, I think it's a useful read for us at least to see those recommendations to kind of see some ways forward beyond what's already been done. From the Freedom of Information Act, I enjoyed that as well. And one point that they emphasized was just in general for towns or school systems that, adhering to the Freedom of Information Act is part of the job duties. It's part of our responsibilities by law, but it's also part of duties. So taking a long time to respond to something just because you've got other things to do it has to be balanced by the fact that there's a responsibility to do so. And they also pointed out that as a board, as the superintendent, of course, is responsible for compliance with FOI, but so is the board. And so if the board has a freedom of information request, that we should at least assure ourselves that it's being looked into so that our responsibility is met. And other than that, is good to have conversations with people in other districts. And one of the themes that was brought up was the possibility of some non-classroom shared services among other school systems. It's a thought like to go forward with sometime. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Dean?
Thank you. Well, I am ending my time on the board the way I started. I started fully remote in the fall of 2020, and I'm ending in the fall of 2025 fully remote for pretty much the same bug, it seems. A lot of things I can say. My wife has asked me, you sound like you have regrets. I said, no, not real regrets. You got to know when to go, and it's time for me to go. Um, Usually, I just get kicked out by the voters, but this time I'm leaving on my own. So that it feels like I'm doing myself in somehow. But this town has enough people, has enough talent. Somebody else should serve. I'll try to keep this pretty short. Um, I've served under two chairs, Kim and Bev. Both have been more than capable leaders of this body. They have very different styles. Um, I very much enjoyed working with Bev as well as Kim. It seems like a million years ago that Kim was chair. I've seen members come and go. I think we take for granted. We're always focusing on the problems. I think we take for granted the quality of people that we work with, both on the board and also staff. And I think we need to take some time to say thanks, and not just perfunctorily, the way I think we often do. But really, I do want to recognize the quality of my colleagues, the way we've been able to reason and sometimes not reason together. It's okay. We can have our differences. Um, it's been um, it's been a lot of time. It's been a pain in the you know what. But it's also been its own weird kind of enjoyment. I don't know how else to put it. I am going to miss it. I'm probably stupid enough to involve myself back into the system somehow, whether it's the schools or somewhere else in town, because I don't know any better apparently. Um, yeah, so I guess there's some sort of sadness on my part to basically watch the ship move away without me on it. But that's okay. I'm on firm land, and boy, it sounded so much better in my head than the way it's coming out, to be honest with you. Thank you all for being good colleagues. I'll miss you.
Thank you, Dean. Like I said before, I'm going to miss you too. So,
Well, I'm not going too far. I'm still here, you know. I mean, it's a small town, so.
I am
when,
too, and we don't forget we had Jay in the middle there, so you had three chairs.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God. Sorry, Jay. Sorry, Jay.
Sean,
Dean, I know we've only known each other for a little while, but it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Likewise.
Uh, I attended the CAVE meeting on Friday. It was wonderful to see so many of you. I attended two sessions. One was on legislative updates. I'm working on gathering the information, putting together my notes, and we'll share that out with the group. There's some legislation that did not pass that would have significantly affected our roles. Um, but that's not to say that it won't pass for 2026. So definitely some things to keep an eye on. The second session I attended was about roles and responsibilities of a board member. As a new board member, I found that to be really rewarding, really insightful, and eye-opening in many ways. Looking forward to serving with you all. Dean will miss you, but looking forward to serving with you all in the next term.
I think I get everybody. I too attended the CAVE conference. The keynote speaker in the morning was Dr. Mel Condona. He was excellent, in my opinion. He talked about career pathways and school to work and preparing students for well-paying jobs right out of high school. He talked a lot about Groton and EB and what we were doing here in Groton. And he was just energetic and very uplifting. And his theme was making schools work for everyone. Because if we only focus on college, as we know, that's making schools work for everyone. So that was his main message to me. My other workshop was communicating through crisis diversity. And they discussed, like he said, if you know a crisis is coming up, you should share information beforehand so people are prepared. And remember that, what happens to us usually, we're not in isolation. It probably happened to some other district as well. And also, don't put stock in social media. And board members should never, never, never make a comment in a comment section on social media. Social media is not a friend for board members. And he also talked about like sometimes board members don't know things because of confidentiality. So you have to understand that the superintendent, she usually or he usually knows stuff, and they can't tell the board because of confidentiality. And when answering questions from the press, a short written statement is good. And whoever responds to the press, usually the superintendent or the board, should never say no comment. We should always have some kind of response. I attended the policy committee meeting, and that was very good. Talked about regulations. The regulations belong to the superintendent, and deliberation is very good. And he said we should look at each series every 5 to 6 years. So pick a series to review every year. So in policy, maybe next year review the 5,000 series, and then the year after that the 6,000 series, and so forth and so on. I also went to how Washington, D.C. is going to impact school districts. There's nothing new there, to be honest with you. And that's it. But I have to say, if you sign up to come to these conferences, I mean, one board member did have an excuse. She did call and say she couldn't come, so we could find somebody else to go. But if you don't show up, costing the district money. So I ask, please, if you sign up to go to these conferences and we have to pay for it, to let us know that you cannot attend so we can find somebody else to go in your place, because it's just wasted money that the district is paying and the taxpayers are paying. So I think the person knows who I'm talking to, but I'm just talking in general now. Okay?
I said yes
Right.
because I thought you were talking to me about because
No,
I
you called up.
yeah, I know. That's why I thought you meant me, but no, I did. Yes, thank you. Well,
Next is future meeting dates and calendar items for board attention. I just want to add one thing that on Monday, December 1st, I'd like to have a special meeting at 5:30. I think I talked to some board members about this already. I'm having a special meeting at 5:30 so we can go over the memorandum of agreement of understanding, I should say, about Mary Morrison. So it would be remote for the curriculum committee. They're already remote. It could be remote. The finance committee and finance and facility committee will be in person, but so it would be a hybrid meeting. 5:30 for the special meeting to talk about the memorandum for Mary Morrison, and then the curriculum committee meet at 6, and finance will meet at 6 too. Finance and facilities. So you don't have to come in, be remote, but we need to get this memorandum going. Okay, Adrian.
Yeah.
Adrian.
So I haven't seen anything on that memorandum. Is the board gonna be receive that?
Yeah, you'll get it. Yeah, you're gonna get it. I think Joyce will send it out. She probably didn't send it out today, but she'll send it out before Thanksgiving, so you can look it over.
All right. So we're gonna have some deliberation on that basically in that meeting.
Mm-hmm. Discussion. It will say discussion and possible vote. All right. But I'll email Joyce and ask her to make sure it's there for you guys to look at. Okay. Ian.
Yeah, that was pretty much my question too. So we'll receive a draft before the holiday, so we can review it over the long weekend, and then we'll discussion and possible vote at 6 o'clock. You said what, 5:30 for the special meeting?
5:30. Yeah, 5:30.
5:30 special meeting for the full board.
For the full board.
Okay, and then committee meetings.
Yeah, I wouldn't have the meeting, and if I didn't send you the information, how you gonna talk about the information if you don't have it?
Well, no, I'm just saying it has happened in the past, like other boards and other bodies where sometimes dropped on a chair.
I'll make sure you get it. Don't worry.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Dean.
If the draft hasn't been touched since my last submission, then I'm happy to circulate that one. I don't want to confuse
Okay.
anybody.
That was Joyce's question. She wanted to know, was there any changes? She was going to contact you to see if there were any change. So if the draft hasn't changed, just circulate it, Dean. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Joyce doesn't have to do that. I don't have to worry. So if you don't get it, contact Dean. All right.
I don't work here anymore.
And remember, board members, you have to be sworn in by December 2nd. All the newly elected board members, you have to be sworn in by December 2nd. And that's it. Anything else? Okay.
asking for me.
Well, I'm sorry. I guess I missed that memo. Were the new board members, we're not having a meeting for them to be sworn in at?
No, you know why? Because they have to be sworn in by December 2nd. The charter says that the board members have to be sworn in the first Tuesday after the election. And the first Tuesday after the election is December 2nd.
Yep.
Tuesday after the election was 2 weeks ago.
The first Tuesday
in the December.
In December.
First Tuesday in December after the election.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, got it.
Okay.
But we're having a meeting that night. There's no meeting on the 2nd.
No, there's no meeting on the 2nd.
All right.
I think Andrea's getting sworn in tomorrow. Sean's working on it. I don't know, but Mike's probably working on it. So they got a couple of days to go to town hall and get sworn in.
All right. Thank you.
I'm going to try to get there tomorrow. This is Sean.
Okay. I might see you there. Okay. Anything else?
Well.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's 9:49, and we are now adjourned. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving.